Hi, what's up, chat? Sorry, was looking at Twitter for a little bit, so I was at Reddit. Yeah, getting used to just seeing what's going on. Okay, this is like my like the people I get alerts for. So I get Thorin, I get Sheep Esports, I get Ryan, so I can get all the clips from AMP and all that shit, like streamers, Eon, all that. Zaka, another win against BFX. Nice. 2-0. Okay, HLE. It's their first one of the season, right? Oh, no, they're second. Lost to 2-1 but beat everyone else. Yes, it was. Oh, it wasn't until 1404. Ezreal. Diable. There's a team I have a lot of memories with. Helping me a lot at live at international events. I'll let you too. Wow. A lot of content when I went to Europe for Worlds, I even borrowed the practice room to use. Wow. It's really cool. So you do it pays submissions to D2. Nice. So you guys have subbed in support life for Peter and Gaines against Team One. Oh shit. Peter got subbed? Fuck. 7 hours of field goal of the season. For instance, at the 3P era, only 5 players have reached this 760, 50, 40 threshold in the season. Larry Bird, LeBron James, Steph Curry, and Jokic. Kevin Durant. I'm not ready to play now. It's Hyundai, and I'm going to get right to one of his viewers. I'm still by people using flipper devices. Yeah. Oh shit, that's scary, bro. That's scary. Fixing why he disliked me is why I see stream where he asked people to donate. Let's be honest, it's you, why it's not man. Who gets the credit? Mr. Beast, basically, we're all donating. He gets all the credit.
Who gets the credit for it, bro? Who's gonna make the tweet and say, oh, this is Team Water and we raised this amount of money? Who gets all the credit for this, chat? Mr. Beast. Exactly. So basically, we're all donating. He's getting all the credit, but we're all getting pressured into donating in front of, hundreds of thousands of people. When you combine all the streams, you're talking 200,000 people are watching this live. But that's all this stream is, bro. This is one of the, this stream was just excruciating, bro. Okay.
The man
And every time somebody would join the call, bro, it was just like, you know what I'm saying?
and Logan
Yeah, bro. Walks off their podcast. Hi, Mandel. Oh shit. Damn, that's tough. Do you know who I am? That is a tough fucking line to say, bro. Woo, better than me. Cheesy Fingers already both left the face house during his class shoot with FGU. He's saying he was upset they were doing a sponsor segment while he was there.
Again, this is like 2 years, like almost 2 years ago, but it's like, if let's say like somebody came to my house, like a guest, for example, like Queso or like Sketch came to my house, I would like, if I had like a sponsored thing I was doing at a certain time, like I would make sure like that's not the date that they're coming. So like when I found out about that, I was like, wait, what? Because I like the plan was just to do 24 hours of IRL because I never do IRL, but that was the plan. And then like 5 hours in, I just heard about that, and it's like, well, I mean, you just kind of feel like no one really cares, you know?
who is on the verge of tears.
See, bro, the thing is, this was so long ago, but the reason why I was just like upset was like,
Come on. Yeah, you're right. Chris is the underdog. Apex. Nico, no players. Bottom three, Mezians. Sunzu. So that's player. No, the store mentioned it earlier. Honestly. Donk. $10 million gambling deal. 10 million. Okay. I mean, if you already have a big community, you're making good money. Like, no reason to burn some of it. You're like liquidating some of your community. Oh shit! I find out she was getting scammed for millions of dollars by a financial advisor mid podcast after making nearly.
Do you know what your net worth is today?
No idea.
If you had to guess.
Probably like 5 million, 20 million,
No,
5 to 20, 5 to
no,
20.
it has to be more than that.
I don't know. Like, I'm not like, that's why I pay someone to do all of my financial stuff for me. I don't know anything about this.
I was
going to
guess it has to be 50.
Okay. I was like 5 to 20 was my guess somewhere.
It has to be higher than that.
I pay a lot like in taxes though, so like I don't.
Yeah, but if you made a,
I don't have that much.
If you know, well, we do the math. I'm basically
Probably
taking
40.
your total income, subtracting taxes, subtracting living expenses and other discretionary spending.
Okay.
Then I'm adding in the fact that you've been investing the money an extra 15% over the last 2 years,
Okay.
which is on the conservative side of things.
Mm-hmm.
And that takes me to 43.
Okay.
if I ask you what's your net worth and you're saying between 5 and 20, that shows to me that you have no idea what's going on financially, which is like insane to me, because if you're grinding so hard to try to get to some place financially, like you could just spend a little extra time or even trade the time and work a little bit less, but spend a little bit of time understanding your finances, and that you'll make more money doing that. And it's not even close, like, like 5 times more money doing that.
I literally have considered like taking a college course online. Just
you don't need to do
you
that.
don't even need to
like,
do that.
literally
that's so
find
simple.
someone that's financially literate and talk to them for
honestly, the money guys.
Talk to the money guys.
Awesome.
Talk to Graham. Talk to me. Ask,
I need to, because I really want to learn. I want to learn.
Even after this podcast, we can go over it. Like in 10 minutes, you should have a basic understanding of where you're at. Because if you're saying between 5 and 20, imagine after you grind for 5 years.
I guess that is a pretty big range.
And you learn that you have $10 million. What are you going to say? Where did it all go, right?
Yeah.
Like, why did I grind so hard?
Yeah.
Well, that could be the reality. You don't know how much these money people that are like working with you are taking.
Mm-hmm.
Would you be able to say what % they're taking? That's the thing. You have and they could be taking some crazy % where, like, if you just spent a little bit more time finding someone else or seeing what they're investing in, what if they're investing in really bad stuff?
I don't I don't know any of this.
Just get a third-party fiduciary to look it over for you.
Fiduciary?
Yeah, someone who's on your side.
Or just a friend.
Third party.
Okay.
Yeah, who has no financial interest in how you're doing.
Okay.
Just to look it over and say, hey, thumbs up, this is good, or hey, these things are questionable. Like, we had on another person who had a very successful career, thought they made all this money, and then realized, wait a second, the person I trusted with my money ended up squandering all of it. And I owe taxes that I don't have.
He was actually negative net worth after it was RJ Mitty, who was on Breaking Bad, like a main star on Breaking Bad. And
he was negative?
He was like in severe
money.
Financial duress.
So I need to open a book or something.
Well, you don't need to open a book. It's so simple. Yeah. It's actually so simple.
It's like, it's not though. Like, you guys are
it
saying
is
it's
so simple.
I
will explain to you in 5 minutes. Okay. Not now, after the podcast. Or maybe we could, we should just do it after the podcast.
We'll do it after the podcast.
But anyways, it would be so worth it to spend just a small percentage of your time instead of working to just understand your finances.
Because once you understand it, you're good. You're good for like the next
It's
month.
a few basic principles.
I feel like I'm like 50-50 with it. Like, I kind of understand
it really sounds like you're like 595.
Yeah.
when it's 5 to 20.
5
like
to
that,
20. I could see like 15 to 20. Okay, fine. Because market fluctuations,
Okay.
maybe valuations, but 5 to 20 is big. When you're making this much money, it shouldn't be less than 25. If it were less than 25,
you'd have some
I would
serious
say-
concerns.
I would say we actually got to figure out like
Yeah.
where's it
Okay.
going?
Yeah, see, like, I don't know.
Who's controlling it and what are they doing with it?
I don't know. I obviously, like, I don't want to, like, talk about it
Yeah,
too
that's
heavily
fine.
on the
Yeah,
podcast.
Dance like. Dance like. Must be a star factory. I don't know. What he is. But I feel like he's gonna spit some fire.
Regular team. They're not supposed to get players and develop them. They're not supposed to like play a new brand of Counter-Strike. They're not supposed to be the most drilled tactical team. They're not supposed to be the squad that like has a million smokes. FaZe was the finishing school for star level players who want to win trophies. And because Carrigan had like the style that's the loose style and accommodating to stars, that's why all the stars love to play with him. And he would just have this system where it was never one player that was a star. It was like the Three Musketeers thing. And then people even forget. Supposedly, Rain just did whatever he wanted. And sort of like every now and then was just an overqualified like supporter entry, which is kind of nuts, right?
Huh?
So if you look at FaZe as that type of team, first of all, they have made some bad signings, unfortunately, in hindsight, if for that type of a team. Like one, it
Not
actually
making that
turns
progress,
out
Akio.
Philly would be great when you took him off the shackles. Turns out he wants that direction. He's like some fucking stud horse who needs the blinkers on, otherwise, it doesn't work for him.
Beat the trolls. That was good talk. That was a good little push. Let me see the cuts in that one.
I can't fake it. I can't fake it. I ain't gonna lie. I can't fake it, man. I put Jimmy cool. That was pulled last month. Was a little fishy.
Yeah, watch this.
Hey, listen. No hard feelings though. No hard feelings though. That was a little. Doubt is the greatest enemy. I'm just being real. But shout out to Jimmy, man. I look at it from my perspective, bro. It was a little fishy. But shout out to Jimmy, bro. Thank you so much, Mr. Beast. He calling me. Yo!
Yo!
Jimmy!
Yo, man.
How you doing?
Yeah, that was me donating. Well, first up, I wanted to just say congrats on cracking 1 million.
Thank you so much, bro. I appreciate you, bro.
Yeah, and keep talking about what you were saying on stream. I could tell that there was, the whole Team Water thing.
Nah, yeah,
People were running with that, and I actually, so I'm not even joking. I don't know if you got I don't know why I have 2 Kai stats saved, but I called you and texted you quite a bit, but I didn't realize until a week ago that it was your old number.
Yeah.
And I reached out to your manager. I was like, dang, does Kai hate me? And he's like, no. And then I asked for your number. I was like, oh, I've been texting the wrong number this whole time.
Yeah,
so.
Jimmy, I love you, and we've been cool for a long time. I think, but if I'm being real, like, from me to you, what happened last month, I don't think you see it from my perspective, but from what happened last month, if you looked at everything that was going on, it was a little too much. I kind of I had to it was my old number, correct, but I also had to lock in for this month, but also I felt away from that, if I'm just being honest.
Yeah, no, I could tell it wasn't like the people were running with you not donating and stuff. That's why I tried calling. And
Yeah.
I replied to a tweet telling people to chill the hell out.
Yeah, I've seen that, and I appreciate that, bro.
Yeah. So I agree. People were taking you.
You might get more in depth about it, but I'll watch this quick video about the 9 losses from the 2015 to 2016 season. Oh, great year for music too.
It felt like
Little
time to look back at the last team that
Juice WRLD.
in a similar fashion. The 2015-16
About a year prior.
Warriors. That year, Golden State was so dominant that every time they lost, it felt like breaking news. Simply because
Twerk for
it
Halo.
happened so rarely. So today, we're revisiting all 9 of their losses from that season. And while the Warriors didn't end up winning at all, in the moment, beating them felt like a badge of honor for the teams that pulled it off. And maybe maybe it still is to this day. There are 9 fan bases that are probably gonna enjoy this video, and Warriors fans definitely aren't one of them.
Twerk. Send me a twerk.
Minions have spawned. Wait, I'm thinking.
It has to.
Heading into the 2016 season, it was clear that the Warriors were motivated to prove the doubters wrong. People questioned the legitimacy of their 2015 championship, saying that they had an easy path to the finals.
Even though Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors stand here today as the reigning defending NBA champions, we still said, well, Kevin Love was hurt. Kyrie Irving was hurt. I'm still of the mindset that Cleveland would have won that championship if both Kevin Love and Kyrie were healthy.
So what better way to make a statement than by winning their first 24 games of the season?
The greatest show in sports keeps getting renewed. 14-0.
They're playing so good. They're so far ahead of everybody now. If they lose, it'll be because they just had a bad night.
Their last regular season loss, April the 7th.
The defending champion Golden State Warriors set the record for best start in NBA history at 16-0.
The defending champions are 22-0.
But that 24th consecutive win didn't come easy, as it took double overtime to get the job done, barely surviving. It was somewhat of a moral victory for Boston for being able to hold their own.
That's tough, man. I had to claw our way to it. You hope you don't have to play an extra 10 minutes to get it done, but we found a way.
But the Milwaukee Bucks didn't want to settle for just a moral victory. They wanted the real thing, and made sure to speak it into existence by having these t-shirts made. This was the very next night for the Warriors, and was the last stop of
what the fuck just happened?
Trip, so they were exhausted. They couldn't really get anything to go down in the first quarter. The Bucks led by double digits for most of the night. Everyone was waiting for the Warriors to go on a huge run, but Milwaukee kept answering. Had the Warriors won this game, they would have became the first team in NBA history to go 7-0 on a road trip. But the Bucks, led by Greg Monroe's 28 points, were just too much.
Champion, but it has happened. MC Dance picks it and hammers it down. That's it. 108-93. The Bucks on the verge of stopping the 2 longest streaks in NBA history. January 9th, 1972, they stopped the Lakers' 33-game streak, and they are going to stop a 28-game streak dating back to last season. Unbelievable.
You can kind of appreciate what we were able to accomplish. I think we can refocus.
You know, the losses are gonna come. You know, we didn't have it tonight.
The Warriors would get their revenge about a week later, defeating Milwaukee at Oracle, with a handful of Warriors fans responding with a t-shirt of their own, mocking the Bucks record. On December 30th, the Warriors had to play without Steph Curry because of a leg bruise. They knew coming in that they would have to fill that 30-point void that Curry provided for that team. But despite having 5 players score in double figures, it wasn't enough to outlast the Mavericks. The Mavericks led by 18 at the half, and at one point were up by as many as 30, as the Warriors dropped to 29-2 overall. 2 weeks later, the Warriors were in Denver to face the Nuggets, this time without Draymond Green. Steph Curry didn't play particularly well all night, but started to cook in the fourth, keeping the Warriors within striking distance.
Here comes Steph Curry, 35 points. He launches. He was shot down from 35 feet.
Golden State
I might flub it a little bit.
Tie or take the lead with just over 10 seconds remaining.
Okay, so hold on, okay, it's okay.
Costly turnover. After a couple Denver free throws, Klay Thompson would hit a quick triple to cut the deficit down to 1, and would also get a chance to win the game, but it was no good.
Ooh.
The Golden State Warriors and handed them their 3rd loss of the season.
During the post-game interview, people accused Curry of crying. I personally think he was just tired, but if he was in fact crying, let's hope he still had some tissues left for the game that took place just 3 days later, because nothing seemed to go their way. Michigan native Draymond Green and the Golden State Warriors were visiting the Pistons on the same night they retired Ben Wallace's number 3 jersey. In the first quarter, Steph hit a pretty impressive logo 3, but other than that, the Warriors got off to a slow start. Just before the half, Curry and Draymond both got a technical foul literally with within 30 seconds of each other. Detroit dominated for most of the night, holding Golden State to their worst field goal percentage of the season up until that point. The Warriors just weren't themselves, and with them now losing 2 of their last 3 games, perhaps the air of invincibility that had surrounded them was beginning to fade.
As good as we are, you can lose to anybody on any given night in this league, and hopefully that's a lesson that sticks with us for a while.
Now, they did go on to win 11 in a row after that game, and by the time the All-Star break came along, the Warriors were 48-4, the best record ever through 52 games. If anybody needed the All-Star break, it was them. But while they were relaxing and having fun, Damian Lillard was still fuming over the fact that he was snubbed, and knew that when the season resumed, the Warriors were his next opponent, and took it out on them. Lillard just couldn't miss, draining 9 threes for a then career-high 51 points. Warriors fans tried to chalk it up to an All-Star game hangover. Even if there was some truth to that, the final score was still shocking.
Damian Lillard, a new career-high 51. Statement. That is a statement. For all you all-star coaches that couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel, there it is.
There it is.
For a team like that, it's their biggest game of the year, so we got to understand that, and we didn't. They just caught us on an off night. Just a good wake-up call for us.
And a wake-up call it was, especially for Steph Curry, as he would go on a tear for the next few games, scoring 51 of his own not even a week later, and capping off the road trip with a nationally televised game versus the Oklahoma City Thunder. The game where, if you recall, Curry did this.
They do have a timeout. Decide not to use it. Curry, way downtown. Bang! Bang! Oh, what a shot from Curry!
Curry ended the night with 46 points and made 12 three-pointers, becoming the first player in NBA history to have back-to-back games with 10 or more threes. But just a little over a week later versus the Lakers, he wouldn't really be able to get anything to go down, going 6 for 20 from the field and 1 of 10 from three-point range. He just wasn't feeling it.
But a very poor three-point shooting game. They came to see the Warriors march to history. They came to see Kobe one last time play against the Warriors. And instead, they see one of the biggest regular season
cold.
But 12 and 15 Lakers and Golden State, their 6th loss of the season.
Like usual, the Warriors followed up that loss by winning several in a row, just in time to build up anticipation for this game.
People gonna be watching this game tomorrow night. I promise you that. I don't believe that anybody who loves basketball is going to miss this game on ABC tomorrow night. If you do, you're a damn fool. And I promise you, any basketball fan out there will have their eyes glued to ABC. This is what it's all about right now.
But unfortunately, the Warriors would be without 3 key players. By the time it was over, Curry missed 14 of 18 shots, while just barely extending his record streak of regular season games in which he hit at least 1 three-pointer. He was 1 of 12 from distance, with 0 points in the fourth quarter. Meanwhile, LaMarcus Aldridge had 26 points and 13 rebounds, beating the Warriors to remain perfect at home. Now, the Warriors were trying to keep a home winning streak alive themselves. You see, going into this April 1st matchup against the Boston Celtics, the Warriors hadn't lost at home in the regular season in over 14 months, dating all the way back to January of 2015. They were riding a 54-game regular season home win streak, but the Celtics were seeking revenge for what happened earlier in the season. The Warriors came out flat, and by the end of the first half, they had 13 turnovers, with Steph Curry being responsible for 7 of them, but he came out hungry in the second half. Curry would score 21 points in the third quarter alone.
Holy shit.
Late in the fourth, there was so many huge plays, so many clutch moments, but it was the Celtics who walked away with the win.
54-game win streak in the regular season at Oracle comes to an end.
Warriors fans were visibly stunned, as they had gotten so accustomed to winning at home. Just 2 games later, they would suffer another loss at home, this time to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Curry simply could not get a shot to fall in the first half. He was 0 for 8 from the field, with his 2 points coming from free throws.
You concerned at all about the shot not being there early? Any concern? The face says no. Am I concerned about Steph Curry making a shot? No, not at all.
He did come out in the third quarter and hit 4 threes. It looked like they were going to be alright after all, as they led by as many as 7. The Timberwolves would slowly inch their way back into the game. The Warriors would have a chance to win it, but failed to get a shot off at the end of regulation. And in overtime, they had plenty of opportunities, but just couldn't capitalize on them. And suddenly, the Warriors' chase for an NBA record 73 wins just got a lot more difficult. They had to sweep their final 4 regular season games to pull it off, and they did.
It's official, number 73. The greatest regular season in NBA history now belongs to the 2016 Golden State Warriors.
They became the first team in NBA history to go the entire regular season without back-to-back losses and without losing to the same team twice. But what's interesting about those 9 losses they suffered is that they came against some of the worst to average teams in the league. Sure, even the greatest teams have off nights, but it was still surprising to see the Warriors play down to the level of their competition. Again, even though they failed to win the championship, I still take pride in being able to say that my Blazers were one of those 9 teams, and the fact that they were the first team to beat the Thunder this year. I guess we'll just have to wait and see what their record.
Oh, this was without Kevin Durant. Oh yeah, that was without Kevin Durant. The 73-9 was without him. Oh shit. You joined a team that had 73 wins. Don't stop me unless you have all these problems figured out. Would you even? Oh, that kill. Ow. Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck.
Jimmy Neutron is one of the most remembered animated series of the
Cool.
2000s to this day.
How iCarly killed Jimmy
It's part
Neutron.
of an iconic Nickelodeon lineup that I don't think has ever been beaten. And for a long time, I took an internet rumor as fact that the forgotten movie The Ant Bully was responsible for Jimmy Neutron getting canceled. But then I stopped to think, how true is that, really? Hi, I'm Dr. Panda, the only panda who's ever visited Candy Bar, and this is the rise and fall of Jimmy Neutron. Why did Nickelodeon demand that the show's original title, Johnny Quasar, be changed? What was the clever reason the creators insisted on making a theatrical movie first and only then turning it into a TV series? And how true is it that The Ant Bully was the reason Jimmy Neutron got canceled? Let's get started. Although Jimmy Neutron premiered in 2002, the truth is that it was created much earlier, back in 1980. It was developed by Keith Alcorn and John Davis as a pilot called Runaway Rocket Boy, starring an early version of Jimmy named Johnny Quasar, a kid whose prominent forehead looked more like a wall. The pilot was shelved for years until Davis rediscovered the idea while moving into a new house in the early 1990s. It was reworked and submitted to Nickelodeon, and from there began the story of one of the network's most memorable animated series.
I don't remember which one's the shotgun. I gotta review that.
Nickelodeon asked for the character's name to be changed because they felt it was too similar to Johnny Quest and Captain Quasar. After tossing around several options, Davis and Alcorn settled on Jimmy Neutron. The decision to use computer animation instead of traditional animation wasn't random or a whim either. It was carefully considered, and it was made with the intention of allowing the series to have a longer lifespan. You see, computer animation has a big advantage over traditional animation, since it allows the same models and assets to be reused throughout episodes much more easily, which helps reduce both production time and budgets. But that wouldn't be the only unorthodox decision they made for the series. In fact, I think the next one was even stranger. Davis suggested to Nickelodeon that instead of launching the show with a pilot episode, they should produce a feature film first. And once again, this idea had a very specific reason behind it. Naturally, a movie is always going to receive a much larger budget than a standard 22-minute episode. If the series had debuted with a traditional TV episode, that would have meant the character models, which would then be reused for the rest of the series, would have to be created with a much smaller budget. By launching the franchise with a movie, they could invest more money into the initial character modeling, resulting in higher quality models that could then be reused at that same level of quality for the TV episodes. Nickelodeon's response was hesitant. Quick, turn on the notification bell. The network believed it was harder to attract a movie-going audience if the TV show didn't already exist to build a fan base beforehand. In other words, it would be more difficult to convince people to see a movie about a character they didn't already know. But this problem was solved in a pretty clever way. Nickelodeon began airing a series of short TV interstitials during their programming to build hype for the upcoming series. The result was a major success, since these shorts made Jimmy feel like a familiar character and got audiences excited for the movie. The film was produced by Nickelodeon Animation Studio and DNA Productions, the company founded by Davis and Alcorn, and this will be very important when we talk about the show's cancellation in just a moment. Evidently, after investing $30 million into the movie and with solid plans to turn it into a successful animated series, Nickelodeon couldn't afford to let it fail. That's why, in addition to the TV interstitials, they launched an aggressive marketing campaign that included a dedicated website, a tie-in video game published by THQ, a monthly comic strip in Nickelodeon magazine, appearances at the 2001 Kids' Choice Awards, official toys, and even cameos.
That's label marketing right there, bro.
As a result of all this, the movie became both a box office and critical success.
Oh, this movie was the first thing ever?
$102 million worldwide
I didn't know that.
Against a $30 million budget. It was even nominated for the very first Academy Award for Best Animated Feature in 2002, although it
Man, Shotgun's there.
to Shrek. No shame. The character designs were also pretty clever. You've probably noticed that they look almost like solid sculptures, and there's a reason for that. Two reasons, actually. By the way, the video revisiting the surprisingly good Billy and Mandy Smash Bros. Clone is already up on my second channel, and I'll leave the link in the description, so go check it out. The first
this game
reason
was
was
cool.
to avoid making the characters overly realistic, and the second was to avoid having to animate clothing and hair. Nintendo gave Mario a hat, and DNA made Jimmy Neutron look like he was made out of plastic. Two different schools of thought. The series officially launched about 6 months after the movie in June 2002, following the day-to-day adventures of Jimmy Neutron and his friends in Retroville. It was a ratings success, running for 3 seasons and more than 50 episodes. The show followed a generally predictable but still charming structure. Jimmy would invent something to solve a small problem. It would backfire spectacularly, forcing him to deal with a much bigger mess, and ultimately learn a lesson by the end. When I was younger, I thought Jimmy was Nickelodeon's answer to Cartoon Network's Dexter. But while both focus on genius kids, I think each has its own identity. And beyond the premise, they're not really that similar. The series was so successful that it even became part of one of the most memorable crossovers of our childhoods, the Jimmy Timmy Power Hour. But it wasn't just that. Jimmy Neutron also had 4 video games, plus characters from the franchise appearing in around 15 different Nickelodeon crossover games, and even an iconic ride at Universal Studios, an attraction that in fact holds the record for the second shortest ride turnaround in Universal Orlando's history, with a construction time of just 5 months and 2 weeks. And if you were a Nickelodeon fan and never got to ride it, I truly feel for you, because it was an incredible experience where you had to chase Ooblar through different environments from other Nicktoons. The series also had a spin-off, but we don't talk about that. Now, as I mentioned earlier, both the movie and the series were produced by Nickelodeon Animation Studio and DNA Productions, and this is where we get to the most important part of this video. Even if you think you don't recognize DNA's name, I'm sure you remember this logo that appeared at the end of every episode of the series. The studio was founded in 1987 using a $5,000 loan and originally focused on small projects for other companies like Dairy Queen, producing commercials and corporate videos. But alongside that work, Davis and Alcorn also enjoyed making short animated films with pretty crude humor in their free time, which they would submit to animation festivals. It was at one of these festivals that they met Steve Odekert, who saw their reel for the project when it was still called Johnny Quasar, and decided to partner with them on future projects. That partnership wasn't initially for Jimmy Neutron, but for other productions like Santa vs. the Snowman in 1997.
Dude, they just do it. This next time gonna be about Carly? Fuck, bro.
17 employees
Only had to drop
around
them.
30, and to take part in new
Cool, that's
projects
cool.
like all of the other reindeer, because apparently they're big fans of Christmas. You and me both, DNA Productions, you and me both. At this point, DNA was still a relatively small Texas-based company, but it was clearly starting to play in the big leagues.
I had this room as my
All
present.
of the other reindeer was produced by the Curiosity Company, owned by Matt Groening, and the main character was voiced by Drew Barrymore. In short, DNA. And that brings us to the moment when DNA signed with Nickelodeon to release the Jimmy Neutron movie, followed by the animated series which the studio would work on full-time. While still working on Jimmy Neutron, DNA also co-produced an animated film released in 2006 called The Ant Bully. I won't go too deep into the plot, but it's basically about a kid who enjoys terrorizing an ant colony until one day he's shrunk down and forced to live and work among them. This was only the studio's second feature film, and although they didn't know it at the time, it would also be their last. The problem was that despite featuring major stars like Julia Roberts or Nicolas Cage, the movie ended up being a complete failure. And unlike other projects DNA had worked on, this wasn't a small, low-budget passion project. DNA, alongside other production companies like Warner Brothers and Legendary Pictures, invested around $50 million into the film, but it only managed to gross about $55 million worldwide, resulting in massive losses for everyone involved. The big rumor online is that this financial disaster forced the studio to shut down, which in turn led to the forced cancellation of Jimmy Neutron. There are even claims that scripts for a planned fourth season were ready to go, but were never produced. But how true is all of this, really? Well, get ready for an emotional roller coaster. My research first led me to this interview given by John Davis, where he directly addresses the topic of Jimmy Neutron and the ant.
Yeah, I'm just dying to fucking background noise.
Thanks to the success of Jimmy Neutron, the studio grew significantly and had essentially its entire staff working on the series. He claims the timing was perfect because the start of production on The Ant Bully coincided with the moment when Jimmy Neutron had already reached its third season, which the team knew in advance would be the last one. In other words, Davis says that Nickelodeon had already decided to end Jimmy Neutron before The Ant Bully was even released. And there it is. Mystery solved, right? The Ant Bully didn't kill Jimmy Neutron. Or did it? At first, I thought that was the end of it. But the more I kept digging, the less everything seemed to line up. So I kept investigating. And then I found this. This is a Nielsen ratings report that lists the top 15 programs on cable networks during the week of March 13th, 2006, the very year Jimmy Neutron ended. On that list, Jimmy Neutron ranks at number 13. And that's huge. The ratings were clearly in the show's favor. But it doesn't stop there, because I also found another Nielsen ratings list from December 2006, roughly a month after the series had already concluded. This list shows the same trend, with Jimmy Neutron pulling ratings comparable to or even higher than other incredibly successful Nickelodeon shows like SpongeBob and the Fairly Odd Parents. In fact, 2 of the 3 specials of the Jimmy Timmy Power Hour were released in 2006, which further confirms that Jimmy Neutron was doing extremely well right up until the end. So what am I getting at? It makes no sense for Nickelodeon to independently cancel the show after just 3 seasons, when by every measurable metric, it was not only one of the network's biggest hits, but one of the most successful shows on television in the entire United States. Now, this is where I want to emphasize what we do know for a fact, and that is that Ant Bully did in fact kill DNA Productions. Davis himself confirms this in the interview, where he explains that the company had grown so large due to the workload required for that film that they were soon forced to shut down after failing to secure new projects that could keep the studio alive. And while one could argue that with more than 55 episodes produced, Nickelodeon already had enough content to air at least 1 episode of Jimmy Neutron per week for an entire year, that didn't stop them with SpongeBob or Fairly Odd Parents, which were the other 2 top series on the network at the time. Even if DNA owned a percentage of Jimmy Neutron, Nickelodeon could have arranged to buy the rights from them considering how successful the series was. By the time Jimmy Neutron ended, SpongeBob and Fairly Odd Parents already had more than 70 episodes produced and continued in production without any issues. So if that didn't stop Nick with those 2 shows, it makes no sense that it would have stopped them with Jimmy Neutron. But then, I came across something that changed everything. A post from 2006, the same year Jimmy was canceled, written by Butch Hartman, the creator of Fairly Odd Parents. The post was originally published on his blog, but it has since been deleted, and only a rewritten version remains on the wiki. In it, Butch made a very important announcement. Both of his shows, Fairly Odd Parents and Danny Phantom, would be officially coming to an end. Danny would end after reaching 53 episodes, while the third part of the Jimmy Timmy Power Hour would serve as the series finale for Fairly Odd Parents. Isn't that strange? Nickelodeon canceling 3 of its animated series in the same year, 2 of which were among the most successful on the channel. Eventually, Fairly Odd Parents would return in 2008, but Jimmy Neutron would not. And this is where my research hit a dead end, until I found one key piece that I think perfectly
She basically explained the
why these
fucking
abrupt
setup.
endings happened. Right in 2006, there was a major shift in Nickelodeon's leadership when Seema Zargami became president of the network's Kids and Family Group, which included, among others, Nick at Night, Nick Jr., and yes, the Nicktoons. That's a lot of coincidence, isn't it? But this wasn't her first role at Nickelodeon. In fact, she had been with the company for nearly 20 years. And even before her promotion in 2006, she already held a major position starting in 2004 as president of Nickelodeon Television. And that's when she really began her revolution within the network. Up until 2004, Nickelodeon's focus had been almost exclusively on kids in general, boys and girls alike, which was clearly reflected in the channel's programming. But with Zargami's arrival, there was a strategic shift toward targeting girls between the ages of 9 and 14. The reason was simple. Nickelodeon believed that this market was far more lucrative for advertisers. It was a demographic that consumed teen magazines, fashion, and pop music, and one that was also beginning to have its own purchasing power. On top of that, it allowed Nickelodeon to follow a strategy Disney had already been using for years, becoming a pop star factory and fully exploiting the advantages of also being a record label, including album sales, concerts and tours, and music royalties. That's why we started seeing a rise in teen-focused shows with a female lead on Nickelodeon, like Zoe 101 in 2005, iCarly in 2007, and Victorious in 2010. Though this didn't work out for them as well as it did for Disney. Either way, this shift in focus also required sacrifices, and we saw those sacrifices in 2006. So while Ant Bully did kill the studio that produced Jimmy Neutron, I believe the real culprit behind the show's death was Nickelodeon's demographic shift. Now, do you remember The Wild Thornberrys, that show about a family of wildlife documentary filmmakers with a daughter who...
God, black out video.
Korea has won Worlds 10 times in 15 seasons. This year at Worlds, 3 out of the 4 teams in the semi-finals were all Korean. Players from around the world revere the Korean server as peak League of Legends, and teams around the world import Korean players for their high level of skill. But why? Why is Korea so good at League of Legends? Is there something in the water? Are they simply built different? Or is their solo queue just that much better than every other region? Well, it actually goes much deeper than just their gameplay. Let me show you why the country of South Korea became the perfect storm to create the greatest players in League of Legends history. It's July 1997. And foreign investors have gotten cold feet with their investments in Thailand. The Thai government was forced to let the value of the Thai baht be decided by the market instead of being tied to the US dollar. And so, the Thai baht begins to collapse. This creates a ripple effect for the whole Asia region, as foreign debt to GDP ratios rose from 100% to 167%. The Indonesian rupiah falls alongside it. Then the third country to feel the brunt of the Asian financial crisis was none other than South Korea, where the South Korean won plummeted in value. Businesses in South Korea were operating on cheap credit and foreign investment, and they weren't getting their expected returns. This financial disaster left South Korea in a precarious position, unable to repay their debts to foreign investors. Luckily, the International Monetary Fund stepped in to save South Korea from this crisis with a $58 billion bailout package. But this bailout package wasn't without conditions. The IMF wanted to restructure and place conditions on South Korea to ensure that this bailout package would be repaid in the future. And although this was a dark time for Korea's financial state, the country was able to recover very quickly. Korea became a blank canvas with new regulations, ready for investment and a new identity. Korea looked forwards and understood that they couldn't compete with China on manufacturing, instead investing in technology. This caused Korea to implement the Cyber Korea 21 plan. This plan states that all Korean people, regardless of age, sex, region, and income, should have the opportunity to use computers and the internet. Korea began construction of a fiber optic backbone network for the country, as well as providing high-speed networks in rural areas. This allowed Korea to bridge the geographical digital divide between urban and rural areas, ensuring that the entire country has access to high-speed internet. In order to promote PC ownership, an Internet PC project was created, offering second-hand PCs free of charge to people with low incomes. There were also many Korean internet companies competing for market share, like Korea's ThruNet, Hanro Telecom, and very, very familiar names of SK Telecom and KT, otherwise known as Korean Telecom. This led to internet usage in Korea to absolutely skyrocket, and by 2004, 73% of Koreans were using the internet. But this wasn't just average internet. The fiber optic network made Korea one of the leading nations in high-speed internet by 2004. In just 4 short years, Korea had digitized both their population and their economy. After the financial crisis, many Koreans tried to start new businesses that were affordable enough for the struggling Korean populace, but also profitable and with widespread appeal. In this digitized Korea, with an abundance of electronics and policies promoting PC ownership, Koreans could bulk buy PCs and peripherals, then charge customers to use them on high-speed internet. And thus, the PC Bang was born.
PC,
also known
okay.
as internet cafes in other countries, PC Bangs started popping up all over the country,
PC Bangs.
peaking at around 21,549 PC Bangs in 2009.
With
During this PC Bang peak, the community and culture of PC Bangs was intertwined with teenage
He just
life.
says IE, no crit.
PC Bang owners made
Yeah.
sure it was extremely affordable to play, charging as little as 1,000 to 1,500 won, or around 75 cents to $1 per hour. This meant that teenagers with very little money and unemployed people struggling during the financial crisis could easily afford time at the PC Bang. Another reason that PC Bangs thrived was because of the density of Korea. South Korea's population density is approximately 530 people per square kilometer, or around 1,375 people per square mile, making it one of the most densely populated countries in the world. I saw an Invent Global post talking about the density of Korea and how it impacted them while growing up. They're quoted in saying, when playing at school, you will usually see more than 100 students playing at 2 goalposts. More than 5 balls are kicked from one place to the other. Essentially, more than 5 games are played in the same football field at the same time. This population density impacts the ability for people to use open social spaces. But with a PC Bang, each person takes up very little space. This means that multiple groups of friends can all enjoy spending time together easily rather than taking up multiple football fields, making a PC Bang a much easier place to hang out. Many Koreans have spent a significant amount of their youth hanging out at the PC Bang with friends after school or university. If you think about gaming in a country without popular internet cafes, many people will own and enjoy different games. Some people grew up playing story games, some playing fighting games, or some playing first-person shooters. It just depended on what you owned. But in Korea, the PC Bang culture meant that the games that were already installed on PCs would become the most popular in Korea. All of them online live service games like Lineage, Maple Story, and most iconic of all, StarCraft Brood War.
StarCraft Brood War.
Being an online competitive game, took advantage of this Korean landscape, as the country was covered in high-speed internet, and there were lots of people in the PC Bangs all playing StarCraft. The extremely rewarding mastery curve and high skill ceiling of StarCraft meant that the unemployed people from the financial crisis and the youth could invest so much time into the game and see it pay off. The high-speed internet of Korea also meant that the optimization and micro-level mechanics could be performed extremely precisely, allowing Korean players a great environment to master the game. Easy matchmaking with the Battle.net client and even
All
an
right.
option to play LAN, allowing for local
Wow.
competition in your PC bang community.
Wow.
So although the game
Wow. That's so fucking cool.
StarCraft took over Korean culture. By July of 2001, South Korea had purchased 2 million units of StarCraft, accounting for 50% of all StarCraft sales worldwide. StarCraft had a built-in leaderboard, and at the local PC bungs, players would crowd around the best players' screens to watch them compete against other top-level players.
Top-level players, holy shit.
PC bung owners would put on local tournaments to decide who the best players in each district were. These small local tournaments would be the spark that eventually
fucked up.
lit into the fire of the massive Korean esports scene. Blizzard would then go on to host online ladder tournaments amongst the top players in each region. Esports leagues like the Korean Professional Gamer League and Net Club would be created, showcasing the best StarCraft players going head-to-head against one another. And South Korea as a country would fully embrace this. In the year 2000, Korea saw the future in esports and would establish KESPA, otherwise known as the Korean Esports Association. The official goal when creating KESPA was to make esports an official sporting event and to solidify the commercial position of esports in all sectors. This ensured legitimacy for the working conditions of pro gamers, the formation of official esports events, and encouraging the general Korean population to play games.
Yeah, we get 20 kills.
This led
Thanks,
to
bro.
the first official esports TV channel called OnGameNet, which would host
OnGameNet,
Star
nice.
League, being the first professional StarCraft league in Korea, which went on to become extremely popular. In October of 2000, the world first Cyber Games was held in Korea, with 174 competitors from 17 different countries, featuring games like Quake 3, Age of Empires 2, and most importantly of all, StarCraft Brood War. The actions of KESPA and the professional StarCraft scene in Korea started the legitimization of professional gaming all the way back in the year 2000. And by 2002, Korea had officially recognized professional gamer as a legitimate job title. These early Korean StarCraft tournaments looked so similar to the current tournaments we have today, with players on stage, big crowds, and even professional business sponsors. The only difference was back then, some of the players had way crazier entrances and celebrations. Meanwhile, esports tournaments in the West looked more like this: fold-out tables lined with hundreds of PCs, far less professional, no stages, no sponsors, and no theatrics. Don't get me wrong, I love this organic competition as well, just a bunch of gamers coming together to see who's the best. But it's clear to see that Korea was already years ahead with how esports was run and respected, all because of the development of KESPA. The same goes for teams and players to make esports an official sporting event and to solidify the commercial position of esports in all sectors.
He's at the high level.
This ensured legitimacy for the working conditions of pro gamers, the formation of official esports events, and encouraging
that's why some of you
the
alone.
Korean population to play games. This led into the first official esports TV channel called OnGameNet, which
that
would
work at
host
it,
Star
man?
League, being the first professional StarCraft league in Korea, which went on to become extremely popular. In October of 2000, the world first Cyber Games was held in Korea, with 174 competitors from 17 different countries, featuring games like Quake 3, Age of Empires 2, and most importantly of all, StarCraft Brood War. The actions of KESPA and the professional StarCraft scene in Korea started the legitimization of professional gaming all the way back in the year 2000. And by 2002, Korea had officially recognized professional gamer as a legitimate job title. These early Korean StarCraft tournaments looked so similar to the current tournaments we have today, with players on stage, big crowds, and even professional business sponsors. The only difference was back then, some of the players had way crazier entrances and celebrations.
Oh
Meanwhile,
shit.
esports tournaments in the West looked more like this.
Bro came on that
Fold-out
airplane.
tables lined with hundreds of PCs. Far less professional, no stages, no sponsors, and no theatrics. Don't get me wrong, I love this organic competition as well. Just a bunch of gamers coming together to see who's the best. But it's clear to see that Korea was already years ahead with how esports was run and respected, all
Right.
because of the development of Casper. The same goes for teams and players. Organizations like SKTT1 and KT Rolster got their start in the StarCraft scene. As the scene progressed, teams began to get full gaming houses, coaching staffs, managers, and corporate sponsors. This seriousness allowed Korean teams to get insanely good at StarCraft, living with one another, discussing strategy, analyzing opponents, and having many different perspectives on the game, all coming together to create immaculate strategy. The collective intelligence of the team was far greater than the single intelligence of one player, making these teams improve exponentially. Players had scheduled practice, scrim partners, internal leagues, and would play the game 10 to 14 hours a day. The team houses and PC bungs of Korea meant that the players were not just having competition to be better than their opponent, but also trying to be better than the other players on their own team or their local area. Players like Boxer, Anytime, and Flash would not only be respected by their peers, but also the wider player base, with huge crowds of fans cheering them on as they played against one another. It wasn't instantaneous, but Korea as a country slowly gained respect for the skill it takes to be a professional gamer. All this effort and grinding paid off for the Korean players. This is the 50 highest earning StarCraft Brood War players of all time. If you look closely, you may notice that there are quite a few Korean players on the list, with only 2 non-Korean players in the top 50. And all of this esports success occurred before League of Legends was released. It actually took quite a while for League of Legends to come to Korea. League of Legends was originally released on the 27th of October 2009 with the American servers. Then the European servers were created halfway through 2010. So by the time Season 1 Worlds happened on the 18th of June 2011, Korea still didn't have their own servers and didn't have a team to compete. But finally, after Season 1 Worlds, in December of 2011, Riot would strike a deal to bring League of Legends to South Korea. But entering the Korean market is no easy feat, as PC bungs already have games installed on their computers. So instead of trying to entice new customers with a shiny new product, you are competing against a whole roster of existing established games. The other issue that League of Legends faced when entering the Korean market is they had almost no competitive edge. Because of Korea's high-speed internet and PC bung culture, they almost exclusively play online free games. But Riot Games approached Korea in a very respectful and sincere way, doing press conferences, talking about providing high levels of service with League of Legends when bringing it to Korea, making sure that they were providing a great player experience rather than just another online free-to-play game like all the other games in Korea. Seeing this, the Korean player base felt the sincerity of Riot Games. And after just 6 days of League of Legends being released, it had already broken into the top 10 on the list of games in Korea. The Korean player base couldn't get enough of League of Legends. On the 23rd of March 2012, just a mere 3 months after release, League of Legends hits the #1 spot on the list of games in Korea. But why? Why did the Korean player base gravitate so much towards League of Legends? League of Legends is based on a mod of the RTS game Warcraft 3, and even in Korea today, they don't label League of Legends as a MOBA because they still call it an RTS. This meant that the 10 years of StarCraft skills could in some way translate over to League of Legends. macro decision making, micro unit control and ability usage, vision control, and map control. This made picking up League of Legends very, very easy for an entire country that was intimately familiar with the
525 range,
mechanics of
625. I
StarCraft.
actually didn't know I'm
The other
525
reason
range.
Koreans
Wow.
loved League of Legends was actually one of its biggest differences when compared to StarCraft. StarCraft's main competitive game mode is 1 versus 1, so you have to be at a similar skill level as your friends if you want to have fun playing with them. League of Legends, on the other hand, is 5 versus 5, meaning that groups of friends could all very easily play together. This took advantage of the PC ban culture, as it made the social outing even more social. League of Legends' focus on micromechanics meant that the high-speed internet of Korea was the perfect place to play. This made the Korean server synonymous with an extremely high level of micromechanics, and players always trying to outplay each other no matter what position they're in. As the Korean player base started to become more and more obsessed with League of Legends, the network OnGameNet also leaned into the trend and launched the country's first major League of Legends tournament in March of 2012. Korean teams like StarTale and CJ Enters instantly bought into the League of Legends hype, creating their own League of Legends rosters alongside their StarCraft rosters. Riot then doubled down on the popularity in August of 2012 as they created a Korean-specific feature for League of Legends. This feature meant that if you logged into your account to play League of Legends at a PC bang, you would instantly have all of the champions unlocked.
All the champions, wow.
Free. This was a genius move by Riot, leaning into the Korean PC bang culture so the Korean player base felt understood and respected by Riot. All of this culminated into the perfect environment for League of Legends to thrive. And as October rolled around, Season 2 of Worlds had finally come. So for a year, Korea had been training and transferring their StarCraft skills, but was still technically a year behind the other regions on game experience. But even still, after just 1 year, the Korean team Azubu Frost made it to the Season 2 Worlds.
You gotta remember me.
Losing to TPA in the end. But for their first international tournament, Korea had quite a good showing. But over Season 3, the League of Legends scene would really develop and grow, as more StarCraft teams would end up making League of Legends rosters. SKT-T1, also known as T1 now, and KT Rolster would make their own League of Legends teams and are still competing today, as well as other iconic teams of Samsung Ozone and Jin Air Green Wings. These big teams investing in League of Legends meant that they brought with them 10 years of esports knowledge. The team houses, coaches, mindset, work ethic, and professionalism all carried over into League of Legends. These Korean teams and players took the game very seriously, especially when compared to Western teams. Another carryover from StarCraft was the large team rosters. The Korean StarCraft rosters had proven that having lots of players to scrim against each other and sharing their collective knowledge made for exponential improvement. So in the early days of Korean League, many teams would have an A team and a B team, double the talent, consistent scrim partners, and teams could practice strategies amongst themselves without worrying about them being leaked. The B team could also be utilized to trial new players. Faker's first professional game was actually against SKT-T1's B team, and his dominant performance is what convinced them to pick him up for the main roster. This A and B team structure meant that the A team at the end of the year would be the best players in the organization. This also led to internal competition from players to grind and get better to reach the A team. But Korea didn't just have multiple teams, they also had multiple leagues. OnGameNet was seen as the Premier League, but for teams that didn't qualify or got knocked out, there was a secondary league called the NLB. This added even more competition for improvement and made sure that even if teams weren't in the Premier League, they were still playing and improving. And in no time at all, Korea had not just caught up to the other regions, but had become the best region to ever play League of Legends. SKTT1 wins 2013 Worlds. Then Samsung White wins 2014 Worlds. Then SKTT1 wins both 2015 Worlds and Korean StarCraft professionalism, all carried over into League of Legends. These Korean teams and players took the game very seriously, especially
Just trying to get him with a fading shot. They just dash into me.
Another carryover from StarCraft was the large team rosters. The Korean StarCraft rosters had proven that having lots of players to scrim against each other and sharing their collective knowledge made for exponential improvement. So in the early days of Korean League, many teams would have an A team and a B team, double the talent, consistent scrim partners, and teams could practice strategies amongst themselves without worrying about them being leaked. The B team could also be utilized to trial new players. Faker's first professional game was actually against SKTT1's B team, and his dominant performance is what convinced them to pick him up for the main roster. This A and B team structure meant that the A team at the end of the year would be the best players in the organization. This also led to internal competition from players to grind and get better to reach the A team. But Korea didn't just have multiple teams, they also had multiple leagues. On-Game Net was seen as the Premier League, but for teams that didn't qualify or got knocked out, there was a secondary league called the NLB. This added even more competition for improvement and made sure that even if teams weren't in the Premier League, they were still playing and improving. And in no time at all, Korea had not just caught up to the other regions, but had become the best region to ever play League of Legends. SKTT1 wins 2013 Worlds. Then Samsung White wins 2014 Worlds. Then SKTT1 wins both 2015 Worlds and 2016 Worlds back to back. And then Samsung Galaxy wins 2017 Worlds. So for Korea, it was 5 years of straight League of Legends Worlds wins. The gap between Korea and the other regions was huge. All of this dominance was the result of the perfect esports storm. First, the Asian financial crisis impacts Korea. Then the country heavily invests in tech and high-speed internet with a boom of PC bangs across the country. Then StarCraft takes off in Korea and becomes part of Korean culture. The Korean government ends up taking esports seriously, setting up professional infrastructure. Then League of Legends comes to Korea at the perfect time, and Riot Games enters the market very respectfully, and the Korean audience becomes obsessed. So all that previous StarCraft infrastructure and esports understanding allows Korea to master the game faster than every other region. But Korea didn't just have some success with every other region catching up, because Korea has continued to improve year after year. The professionalism and infrastructure around esports continues to grow. Faker has become a household name in Korea. Huge company sponsorships and advertisements with esports players. Korean esports teams have their own facilities, PC bangs, and in-person merchandise stores. Riot continues to develop in Korea with the LOL Park venue where the LCK is held, with a Riot merchandise store, PC rooms, and cafe. There are countless League of Legends collaborations in food, drinks, and merchandise in Korea, which reminds me a lot of the StarCraft sponsorships of old, like the iconic Korean Air StarCraft 2 themed plane. League of Legends has become a large part of Korean culture, as if it were their national game. This has normalized professional gaming so much that the mom of pro player Pays hired a full-time League of Legends tutor when he was in school. Pays was quoted in saying, "At first, he would come over 2 or 3 times a week, but eventually I hit a plateau. Since it was summer break, my tutor stayed with us for a month, watching me play every single day." People in Korea have been seeing gaming success as comparable to when a child is talented at sport or art,
They like that
giving them
shit.
the resources they need to succeed. It seems like every other region is playing catch-up to Korea. China is obviously second place when compared to other regions of EU and NA. But Korea and League of Legends are binded together, with Korea winning Worlds 4 times in the past 4 years. It seems like the era of Korean dominance is not over yet, and Korea will not stop until they achieve League of Legends perfection.
Enemy killing spree.
Now where was I? All right.
An enemy has been slain.
Once about blowing stuff up.
Good video. Might watch that again later. Okay, yeah. G2 versus Vitality. That.
Wow.
Good to Dark Shed later.
Rumble is open though.
Side
They
BDs too.
didn't ban Rumble. BB, do you want to play the Rumble?
It's relatively safe. G2 do tend to leave BB's picks to 4-5.
Okay, he does want the Rumble. He does want the Rumble. I mean, Naknako can play Cassante or
Jared.
Gnar into Rumble. I do. Oh, it's 0-5 in Lalek. I do think you need to pick the Ezreal here. It's G2.
Kana up there as well, right? Who currently has yet to pick up a win in LEC.
You have to go Ezreal into Jarvan Bard. You have to. You have to do it. Otherwise, what are you gonna play? You cannot.
Scary.
You could do Yunara Lulu, but I don't like it. I feel like Ezreal Pantheon has to be the 2-3 here, surely. Surely that's just the best. Fuck off. Surely Ezreal Pantheon is great. Well, Lulu can have fun this game. The good news is, for G2, you can ban Cassante
You can't die there, bro.
and these are counters, quote-unquote, or answers to Rumble. But I think Nakako would probably play Gwen as well in this matchup. He'll play Gwen and Gnar. I really think they should have snatched the Pantheon. I think Pantheon Rumble actually has so much options in the game.
Huge for her.
I think the Rumble first pick just feels
A huge spell from them.
He's gonna lose Jarvan, he's gonna lose Pantheon. He's gonna lose Sinzao. Chat, is the camera that bad?
Could go Galio. I mean, Galio makes somewhat sense, but Galio kind of still loses to Rumble though.
Yeah, but you negate it.
Yeah, I mean, it's mostly about that Grand Hero.
LeBlanc ban.
Grand Hero 4, that's easy to
LeBlanc ban, is it like a Kali or what?
On the Rumble though, BB has had a pretty good year.
You can't blind Azol. You can't blind Azol. It's impossible.
7-2.
Just put the jungler in the bag. I mean, the top player in the bag.
Playing the Rumble. So perhaps a bounce special is the way you're going to deal with it.
Ooh, got Aurora on 4.
G2 now need to.
Oh, that's a nasty pick, actually, by the way. That is a nasty pick. I wonder if they're going a Kali blind here, G2, but it doesn't sound so fun. Okay, they go for Ari.
So giving yourself a
Ari
little options here
Vi.
in the 4-5 probably
Bro,
still
Aurora
is
top, Lissandra on 5, GG VP on drum. It's not gonna happen, but
that could be a little bit scary. Which could also go
could
down
play
to the
Cassante here, to be honest. It's not bad.
And also negate that dive together.
Oh my god, they did it! Oh, they actually did it! This is crazy that they did that. Yo, big W. I love that Lissandra pick. So legendary. They have so much lockdown. I like it.
They in theory should be winning, so I want to see how.
I'm not gonna lie, this Caitlyn Bard, I kind of like it.
On average, 1.5k ahead. Labrov and Hans Summer don't have control of that second bush, which does make it a little bit harder because Labrov can just poke his head out, do a couple of autos, then jump back into the darkness. Because he does have a wall.
Anyway, I think this game will come down a lot to execution.
Any jungler pathing. Linces on a sneaky path here. Steal away.
Classic Jarvan red.
G2 at all. He's even going to take the Crux. It's going to be a big advantage.
If I'm Jarvan right now, I'm saying, can you make top diveable, please? If you make top diveable, he's dead, I swear to God. Just make top diveable.
Like, okay, I'm just going to start your top side.
We'll see if you can. It's kind of hard to just make top diveable forehead, but
I've cleared all my camps and I'm ready to make a play on your bot lane. So I think
top dive actually works here, doesn't it? If Jarvan goes, like, pretend he's here now. Actually, it's kind of sketchy. Maybe it doesn't. There's a world where you get his flash, you get low, and then he chases you. Chases you. Linsas didn't take his own bot side.
Really greedy. Yeah, you're going to lose your red if you go for the Gromp.
Why is he doing this?
Management from both these junglers.
Why isn't he covering his bot side?
Vision pockets that could have been placed down as we see the bot down on Kazi. Hans Summer chipping away at him.
What the fuck is happening? Vitality bot is trolling the trades and he didn't defend his bot camp.
Flashy did use his heal as well. Skewmon now looking towards the mid lane.
No, my Wisandra please. Caps. Oh! Oh, now wait a minute! What?
What?
And he's gonna stay and catch the wave. Is it a goat or what? Yeah, he is a goat.
And
I want to see more top plays here by Vitality. Like, just look at what's been happening top. This guy's no potions. 20% health, and he's been sitting on the tower for a while.
Unavailable for the next little while, but Linsas
it looks like they're not going to do it. Bases will come out. Linsas is a fucking through and through rat. Like he just is. He has red buff here.
Forward, Skewmon's already used the Vault Breaker.
But he's down a Ruby Crystal in this fight, which is kind of big actually.
No flash means he can't close that gap quickly.
Linsas didn't have Schmite.
Was looking for that glacial path, but doesn't find it. And Linsas now with Humanoid.
EQ.
Might even go for a little bit more. Humanoid not showing.
Oh, interrupted his Q by the way. Oh, Linsas flashes, thinking Lissandra has flash, but she doesn't have flash, so now Linsas is chopped. He has EQ in like 2, 1. Oh, what? He leveled up here in Naknako. He doesn't even need to ult. He doesn't need to ult, he just kills him. Actually, nice spacing into his top laner. Oh, they both flashed there, and Naknako still has flash and ult.
Ends up getting 2 kills there. I thought this was a crazy.
See, it looks good this flash, no? Lissandra E's and has flash here, flash W, but she doesn't have it, and he's like, what? I think he just inted thinking she had flash.
And Linsas has the boys to back him out there, but Labrov is in danger.
Q flash, do it. Nah, you should have gone for the Q flash. It would have looked sick. Like Q flash predict. You feel me?
Will be an awful timing on his reset though. As
my Bard
was already almost back in the lane.
Maybe he has to ult here. Broken Blade is losing a lot of minions for this.
He still has flash. He still has between worlds. Tries to get away. Equalizer still ticking on him, and he is fine, as you say, in the air.
Before, so now
I like the aggression,
we'll
but
try to block this little health plant as well to not allow Nak to get it. He's trying to loop around here. Doesn't have flash. This is a little bit overzealous, I think.
A 1 tower shot, only one. As now he goes for the flame spitter. Nako realizing he does still have the flash and holding onto it.
BB lost a lot of minions and a lot of health there, and his ult. I actually think maybe Flashai goes for the bowler or what? Yeah, he is.
Creep score difference at
actually, BB's dead.
10.5 at 40 minutes.
BB.
Flashy's coming.
Just get the cannon.
BB, no flash, no ult, and nowhere really to go. Flashy puts down a Caretaker's Shrine, and Broken Blade having over it.
Yo, KS! Can they counter dive top though? Still worth it for E2, I think. Well, like, it's not worth it in overall on the map, but the 1-for-1 bot is worth it. I love Vitality's comp in the sense that, like, watching them teamfight will be so fun. Lissandra ult, Aurora ult, Bard ult, Jarvan ult, there's so many circles. This is like Atlas's wet dream. I hope Atlas, like, watches the VOD or checks one teamfight. This is 5 circles. Wait, this Slurkle? No, Slurkle is spinning circle, right? Oh, it's a slowing circle. Oh yeah, there's 4 circles.
Just equalize the wave, and walk
slowing, does not moving count as slow? Yes, it does.
G2 are setting up around that bottom side right now.
Because you're slower than you would be.
Find a way towards humanoid.
Yeah, they're gonna bleed in these lanes a bit. Oh, I love this Lissandra champ. I think it's so unleashed on the map.
Does not work anymore.
Whenever you need it, like it's so like these two are such good kill threats. Any mid laner is dead, but Lissandra, that's impossible to go on.
Yeah, the problem for Kazi then is
that is impossible to go on.
Like main source of physical
I will say the Lissandra skin choice could be a lot better. Like we could have had some aura skins locked in here, but we're using what is this? The fucking disco ball Lissandra. This looks trash.
On this Caitlyn does get ahead, but
not trash, but like Linsas is like addicted to right-clicking the enemy raptors.
They're trying to keep the pressure points in the top side jungle.
Oh, BB it's so difficult for me to play. Like it doesn't look like anything's happening, but he has no vision here, and Lissandra is pathing up like this, so he's permanently scared. He has nothing. He just sees Lissandra hovering here all the time. This is criminal though. The fact that G2 is getting Drake and nothing's happening to Vitality. Vitality needs to do something to take Drake.
I'm a little bit surprised he doesn't want to contest, because look at the item difference in the jungle. This is usually a time where junglers always tell
it's because bot no prio. You know the drill. Bot no prio.
No matter where he goes.
Agreed. Who's still looking down towards this bottom side. Sneaks
he's hitting a dove again. Carsey is getting a bit sold here, but Bardult should be in range for him.
Fleshy here right now. Kazi.
Nice dead. He just
There's the ball breaker. Cease and desist will follow up on it into the wild grove.
Yeah, Fleshy and the Shire are kind of inting each other right now.
LeBron takes the kill, which G2.
Fleshy. Wait, did I say the Shy instead of Fleshy?
The moment he has a little bit of breathing time, he wants to go for the ward to make himself even safer. And just
my bad, just a habit.
Knuckle goes for something.
Okay, BB's dead.
But Linsas is here.
Is he dead? He got the wave. Eat you out. As a Fleshy and the Shy? God, I really have got brain rot. Carsey and Fleshy are inting each other a bit.
If he use Nude...
Yeah, top is gapping, but bot is absolutely astro gapping because Carsey's died twice on a stack and lost his entire tower.
West complete because you get that infusion of gold, but we're still looking at like 1.5k or thereabouts as humanoid goes in onto Caps. Frozen Tomb coming out as well.
Time to EQ.
Cosmic Binding needs to be perfect. It wasn't quite, but they still get the knock up as Caps is able to Spirit Rush out. There's the charm onto Linsas. Broken Blade coming in with a flame spitter. The polymorph on Linsas means he can't flag and drag away immediately.
Well,
Rumble kind of helped them, but I will say Lissandra's one counter is this item. That counters Lissandra quite hard, so ulting the Ahri, not the best. Well, in the draft situation Vitality was in, you have Aurora Flex, which goes into Rumble and wins. With Ornn Band, it's either you go Cassante top into Rumble, and Cassante into Lulu's is not that good because you're just a hitbox. But Aurora into Rumble is a winning matchup. So you can put Aurora top, get a winning top matchup. And then you're left with mid. The options into Ahri are Mel, Akali. Mel gets kind of run over by Rumble Vi. Akali gets kind of run over by Lulu. But Lissandra is really good into this dive because you can counterplay it and it gives you more engagement off the Jarvan bar. So I think you flex, get a winning lane, and you put a champ that can live the Vi-Ahri combo, has good damage and engage, and that's Lissandra. Like Annie can engage but she'll die quite easy on mid waves. Galio won't die as much but he doesn't really have engage, and I think Lissandra is like the perfect balance. It's not like a game slam dunk fucking instant, but I definitely think it's the best option you have. Because if you put Aurora mid and Cassante top, the game becomes all about bot lane.
Humanoid looking to play as well on this Lissandra. Haven't played it in a while. Temper fake on Summer.
I think that Fleshy kind of ran Carsey down a lot this game. Like, if you actually look at the theory of the game, top is winning because top should win, but bot is winning because Fleshy took some crazy run time.
BB pushing in the top side. Nako has the teleport, so play for Vitality as well. We'll just take the Drake, make sure our strongest members here as we begin it. And then we can always TP.
Be strong. Me team fight. Be strong. Me team fight.
If anyone parts greedily down towards the bottom side, but no one does. And LeBron looks like Rift Herald will be started. Nako can move first here though from the top side. So G2 kind of calling for a fight. Teleport available for Humanoid as well. They might just want to try and get that out. Is G2 on this drift held? 5,000 HP.
Did Lissandra just TP on a Jarvan E? They have the Jarvan E for Lissandra. Lissandra can cook on this angle, by the way. This is a great angle for Lissandra if they walk up. I think Humanoid needs to have gone way earlier. Yeah, this is awful. He's gone in after Aurora went in and Jarvan went in. I think he needs to go in like 10 seconds earlier. But you know what I think actually happened there? I don't think he had defender. I think his E was on cooldown. It's the way he was kicking was so weird. The wall is here, Aurora's going.
Why am I stuck for so fucking long?
But he's not pressing E. I wonder if he used E to clear the bot wave. Look at this. As soon as he TP's in, he can be Eing anytime now. Right now. He can be Eing right now. But he just doesn't do anything. I think his E was on cooldown. And then it came up after they already went in.
No way, bro.
So I think miscommunication.
The angle wasn't very good, but he saw an angle, and that's okay.
That one was.
Which staff is roasting you? What do you mean they're roasting me? Roasting what?
Pretty obtuse. Two teams. Riptide in the pocket of Linsus though, and without any of the plates going down on this mid lane tower, expect to see that used in about 2 minutes time to help the setup around the Drake, unless
what have you done? What have you been done here?
Vanquish finding some really good trades on the Caps right now, getting a lot of pressure here on this side lane, making sure that Caps actually is under threat. If the Vitality would like to rotate into this lane, maybe there are some plates to be taken, or at least
call it Luden's companion, Luden's echo, call them.
Looking at second screen, warning.
He tries to trade with Caps. Will be set up well.
You say Cubano?
Linus is trying to step in. As soon as he sees LeBrock, he should know the rest of the team are lurking.
I will say it's quite a quiet
game. Have a lot of
so
control
far.
here.
Everyone has flashed up. There hasn't been a lot of fight forcing. That's not around objectives. So
we'll
the thing is,
Drake spawning. Timing looks pretty good, isn't it? This looks pretty good. No second item on Lulu. I don't know if she's building Michaels or not, but no Michaels helps a lot for the Scent here. The main target could be the Vi.
She doing walking up to them.
These angles are really good for their champs. They just need to commit at the same time. Look at this, look at this, look at this. E, flash WR. Here it comes, ready?
G2 are unaware of the encroaching Lissandra.
Okay.
And Linsus lands the smite, and G2 don't force.
They didn't walk up.
G2 can at least get this mid lane tier 1 to kind of get something back on the play. You gotta block them from entering here. You
they're gating them well.
Yeah. Still, will be TP burned by BB, not even to contest the dragon. So that's a
they didn't walk up, they didn't walk up.
Now, Aurora is pushing up bot. No one is there to answer for her. So that's gonna be even more plates in her bag.
There might be a full tower for tower exchange. Flashy trying to walk forward, has that magical journey. Cosmic Bind doesn't find the sun. Skuma trying to steal away this red as well, but he'll walk breaker out, realizing the rest of the team has been
I'm a good Lissandra player. I'm a good Lissandra player.
They did manage to take the mid lane turret, get some more gold into Helm Summer.
You can check my YouTube.
So
I scrimmed with G2.
250 CS, 22 minutes
42 players in Sally mid. They were trialing me to replace Captain in-houses against Vitality. And I solitary them. I did solitary.
Too fast here because he needs to wait for the boys to come and help him.
Yeah, Naka's still a big threat to
the boys.
Naka was almost at 3 items where BB is sitting at 1.
I put my fraud on the main screen, and this is the setup he's got. Yeah, the setup, nice Mikhails. The setup will be better. Couple days, the setup will go back to normal. Okay, we're a little bit funky today. Lissandra's countered now. They didn't snowball the game hard enough. It's over. Can't win.
Between these two mid laners, Humanoid kind of
joke. She can just ult herself now.
Really challenge Caps at the top of the
fake item to counter Lissandra. Mad Lions, Angry Birds.
Yeah, you got Cardi and Humanoid there. Yeah, that'll do it. The quintessential spirit of Mad Lions lives on. And
not as much Gnar Wukong though in the top side.
No.
Why doesn't he TP back?
He's got so many champions, mate.
They're just gonna give it or what? I guess they're gonna give it.
Astronar. It's not. It doesn't feel that long ago, but it's actually like 4 years old.
Surprised they didn't TP back. In fact, they could have played this.
Once again, Vitality just poking and prodding towards the G2 mid laner, but can't really find a way to fight him. And Caps has built up a small lead for himself. 600 gold in that mid lane.
Ooh, Screw on his spear. Trap. He's kind of cooked here, isn't he? Maybe not. Yeah, he's cooked.
Has a great flank. Look at the Hunt Summer. Broken Blade dives in. Humanoid already down. Humanoid flashing forward as well as they look for Hunt Summer.
Oh.
Flashes out himself. Flag and drag still finds the mark. Magical journey.
Flashy, you are inting. Oh my god, they're all inting. They're over chasing. Oh my god, it's just a straight up pentakill for Hansama. What the fuck? Wait, he stole it! He stole it! He stole it! Yeah, that portal was not it. I think once you're out of hooks, you just can't keep chasing. I also think when Lissandra goes in, when she sees the Mikhails from Lulu, she can just ult Lulu and kill it. Insta. Like Lulu Mikhails early. It was kind of Look on the right side. This is good Bartle. This is a free kill. Rumble's kind of useless. Here, Lulu's gonna Mikhails herself now.
But he actually doesn't land the
But you just ult there, I think, on the Lulu and just kill her. Or?
Being able to flash away, and Flashy takes the portal, and look at that Rumble Q, and just the absolute spread damage from this Yunara. All those little around that team fight.
I think Fleshai should have tried to sneak a ward behind him somewhere. Because Yunara knows some. If they could sneak some ward in the lane behind, they could just play a Lissandra TP at the top tier 2 right now behind them and they could be TPing. And Jarvan could be hovering around here and they could just TP on the lane and I think they could actually sandwich this Yunara. Maybe with Bartle. But now there's nothing to do.
He talked a little bit about how he's helping LeBron kind of find that mindset because
oh, is he giving spear? I mean, that works. Okay, this is the play. Oh, he didn't press his ult fast enough. But it's monstrous, that's how we like it. You can W ult at the same time on Lissandra, I'm pretty sure. Oh, Bard got the shutdown. Like you can press W and R on yourself within the same like millisecond. They get the soul point. Right? Really can't do anything. Nako is spiking so fucking hard right now. Ult has a cast time? No, your Cell's ult has no cast time. Your ult on target has a cast time on Lissandra.
He just follows up on beautifully, so much damage coming out there. Now it's just a slow chase as Humanoid goes for it. It's actually blocked by Labrov here with the polymorph, but in the end it doesn't really...
Sometimes against like hard CC, sometimes like any champ that has like a point and click, like knock up or stun, sometimes on Lissandra, if you're self-ulting, it's better to just E, flash WR, and just not Q, because your Q cast time makes it so you can get CC blocked before you ult. And it feels right in Q to like WQ and squeeze damage, but if you get CC'd in that Q, you're cooked. I feel like Vitality is kind of at a spike ceiling, you know? I think now is... These items they have now, I think, is the strongest they've been. Otherwise, G2 is just gonna get more defensive items. When G2 starts to get GAs and shit, it's gonna get really hard. But it looks like they're far away from any big defensive items.
If we could bring it up, production, I'd love
they kind of need to get the ball rolling in the next couple of minutes.
Caps is going to be ahead of you need the Mikhails, you need the Wild Growth, you need the Polymorph. LeBron's doing a really good job of finding those. In fact,
it's super hard to lose that, but it made it possible. So just baiting and giving some rare 20 kills with fight. My traps at the end there weren't good. They arm in time so I didn't stop her. It was just fucking disgusting because I put them out so early. She should have dashed and got trapped and just died and got Baron and won the game.
Like, that was a situation where that brush that you just face checked nets them nothing.
It's an interesting one.
I feel like if you're defending top tier 2, already if you can get vision in that brush, it's fine. You just have to wait for the show on midway. There's no if Baron's up, I get it, but it's just such a useless face check.
I know Baron's 30 seconds away, but you
have to throw the flag. Yeah. If this were Bard, it becomes really tricky because he can't really walk up there without dying. So once again in danger here.
Q as well. Magical Journey out from Flashy.
No, it's disturbing. Again, no objective up. One ward is enough. His jungler is making a play on side, and actually kind of want to blame Linsas a little bit for this as well. Because this is weird. Why is Jarvan ganking bot with 10 seconds for a Baron? If he said we're giving Nash, just take bot plates, then what the fuck is Bard doing? And if Bard says I need to ward around Baron and Jarvan runs bot, then what the fuck is Jarvan doing? So I think they're both just
some gold back, but now G2. I mean, you really
do you send the Drake fight as Vitality? I feel like you do. I feel like if the enemy team has Baron, it's always good to just fight. Fuck it. If you can get a good fight, just send it. Jarvan GA, double Rabadons. But Kaiten's top, so I'm guessing they're giving it.
Very exciting, but look,
it's insane that Hansama is 6,000 gold up. Like, what on earth?
and ends up dying, he will get
Jarvan after this game will be 0-6 in the LEC.
Humanoid jumping in, Linces jumping in. Linces does now have a GA.
I'm not a big stats envy, but that's quite interesting actually.
Caps, not the target yet for Nako with G2 then. Just allow Vitality to walk away.
Engage ain't working at the moment for some teams.
And I like how G2 is playing. They're very aware of what
I do think Jarvan is the champ that you early rotate because someone has to pick.
And they just play
And your teammates are scared of playing into it, so you get peer pressure into playing with Jarvan. And when they play with Jarvan, can't do anything.
Behind the wave, making sure that trying to engage on him, and now it's going to be Caps.
Caps. In the hole.
It doesn't ult. There we go, he ulted. But we're TPing behind Caps, are you sure?
TP behind by Humanoid. Flash away from Caps, dodges the Tempered Fate, and still has a Spirit Rush. And meanwhile, the rest of the team are just pushing through mid. They got way better play with it's all on Kazi to try and defend for now. G2 will walk away. Don't want to overextend. You talked about the safety that they have been playing with. They're all going to
Scumon's Jarvan is really good, I'll give you that.
Goes in for Fleshy. There's the Scumon goes in for Fleshy. There's the equalizer.
This is quite deep by Scumon.
Fleshy able to survive. Scumon wild growth on him as Kazi needs another auto. Finds it. Scumon goes down. Between worlds goes Nako. They're chasing too deep. Humanoid look for it.
Hard to chase more.
So that's Flash.
Why did Scumon not go GA?
That's a kill on Scumon.
Probably because he's playing versus Caitlyn. What happens if his GA procs? Doesn't he just get trapped and die? Oh, Yunara has GA. He has red pot, 7 items, and a Lulu with Ardent. I think it's a Yunara pentakill. It's a Yunara pentakill. Unless they can somehow kill Yunara by... I mean, the only way that really happens, I think, is if Yunara like dashes in, gets Lissandra ulted, cleanses, or like one-taps her and Caitlyn traps her GA. So I think she has to go quite far forwards to lose the game. I mean, they can give this Drake, to be honest,
by the time you get to the objective, especially with double TPs like Caps and Broken Blade.
Can they give the Baron Vitality?
But we'll still do a really wants Lenses to lead the charges. I do, please just put a flag in the bush or something. As G2 are already on the Baron. It seems Hansama now pulling off it. Dragon's now spawned. Caps looking for a flank.
They're going to get a run from Dragon now.
Wait, G2's doing the Baron before the Drake? Why?
He is flanking on Kazi and did chip away at his HP.
I thought that it's. I would have thought that it's much better to do Drake and then go towards Baron.
If you want to go get the Dragon, we're just going to...
I think some should stay here for Vitality. Ooh, Caitlyn definitely was one of the people who should have stayed, I think.
Dragon to LeBron and Hansama. Hansama still has the GA. Humanoid forced away. Equalizer coming down on him. Frozen 2 Muse to dodge the bolt breaker, but the rest of his team not really here to help him out. Temper Fate on Scumon. Is that enough? Scumon dashes away between worlds, goes Nako and Kazi.
It's still okay, I think, for G2. Maybe they can poke, because Caps' ult will come up soon. And Lissandra has no flash, no ult. Lissandra's gonna have to clear mid wave and TP back in. No rumble ult. It's hard to face check, but they have GA. They're gonna have to play very slow here, Vitality. We're just gonna allow for a lot of ults of G2 to come back up. Importantly, Yunara ult is not up. That's the most important thing. There's no smite either, right? So it's guaranteed Dragon here. It's just whether G2 can get a kill or two, but I think the setup, the Vitality patience was pretty good. Very good patience. That portal from Fleshy is disgusting. Oh my god, what? What? Oh my god, Linsas! There's the Lissandra! What? The fuck did Nako just do to them? What? Did you see that?
Caps and Scumon are now still standing. Have another look. Like Scumon's look.
No. Skip this part. This is just like Scumon dying. Yo, what the fuck?
Can come across. The Linces, man, a massive flag and drag, forcing Hansama back.
Damage. He found a huge chunk on Hansama already. Now he's gonna walk up here. He's gonna buy so much time. Tempered Fate is so good by Fleshy, and just the nuke that comes in here on Scumon is so much damage from Garci, and now the slow chase is so dangerous.
Look at Labrov, look at James.
The Drake secured was always likely to be from Linces because he has that smite. Then Nako again
just
with
pops them both. I love this from Linsas. He sees it instantly. Flash ult, EQs where they're gonna flash or some shit. That was really nice.
Won't be up and available for next fight. Almost gets one more here, but Caps blocks it. G2, they want to get this back.
Yeah, they can't really push the game forward for another 2 minutes.
Yeah, importantly for G2, the bot lane inhibitor did go down to minions.
Unless Fleshy does the thing again.
So again. 2.5 minutes before that inhibitor is back up. As you say, Fleshy steps into play. Nako looking for Caps. Vault Breaker, flashy magical journey. He gets through it just in time.
He needs to stop being a rat. That one I forgive him a bit because Nako peer pressured him to walk up.
There as well.
I feel like the way he was flicking.
So he couldn't actually follow up with the cease and desist, or Fleshy would go down there. So
they need more bot push here, Vita. More bot push.
Mid lane, able to force Vitality onto the back foot.
Fleshy just needs to not walk into a charm.
Can't really find much more vision. They'll play around vision from G2. Humanoids about to show on the bot wave. G2 have an option. Immediately go for the Baron as soon as Humanoid shows.
Humanoid doesn't have TP. He
doesn't even have the teleport, as you say.
They can Bard ult it, which they should, but they're going to be late to do it.
Step forward, Humanoid had to go to bot to get towards the super minions, but G2 will get the Baron.
Back.
40 seconds now on the Elder. Vitality kind of gave up on that one.
Yeah, when did Lissandra TP? I feel like she should have sat bot instead of TPing mid and then TP'd mid after.
Work his way down towards bot again. They don't want this inhibitor to push.
It's nice that they get the Baron, but I don't think it's that big of a deal because Karthi has GA now, and it's an Elder fight anyway.
Because that will be the game. So Vitality really needs to
Humanoid ran past bot wave. I think Jarvan kills Raptors, he heals full at this point with 3 of his Cycle Controller, but he can also regen.
And that Ocean Soul. Fleshy going to put some vision in the back of the pit, but the Dragon is out of vision. It's a 50-50, as you say. Elder down to 8,000 caps, looking for the flank. G2 walking towards the bottom side. Lince is going in. Flashy, magical journey straight towards caps. He's forced to spirit rush away. Lince is in the back of the
Ari's kind of cooked here. Nako had to flash out. Nako is kind of cooked here, or? Big damage!
The smite from Skewmon finds his mark, but can G2 fight through it?
It's such massive damage from the Lissandra Aurora. It's crazy. Insane amounts of splash damage. Their comp is just so much splash. Oh, nice sidestep by James.
Flashed away from caps.
Holy shit.
In G2's hand, but Vitality still have 5.
Nako, like, he like blast coned in, flashed out, W back in, Zhonya's the next, like, it was crazy what Nako did. He was making them so dizzy.
Or at least the inhibitor here, they're trying to get something out of this.
The question is, do Vitality stick or twist? Do they go for the full Nexus push? Still 25 seconds on Hans and Skewmon. They don't have TP or Humanoid. He's pushing through bot. He may just be apply some pressure.
No way, you can't do this.
Towards the bot inhib instead.
Skewmon blast coned in, Vi Q'd him. He flashed it. He W'd back in. Vi Q'd him. He Zhonya's it, and then he got everyone ulted. And they all walked in. Oh, maybe my mic's good. They all walked in to try and kill him. Look.
Look at this.
So look at Nako.
Actually goes in here with the combo, but it's forced to flash.
Oh no, it's inside that flash it out.
He ends up going back in with the combo.
Ah, and then Nako jumps in.
So much space here.
And then Nako baits them. And they're all coming into here. And then the Lissandra Aurora combo just fucking AoEs everything.
You if you just get one shot. Doesn't matter how many GA passives you have if you just die to one ability.
But they still have Elder for a while.
Something in the water that they drink in their gaming house or whatever. So far they've had...
The big thing here is Lissandra still has flash, so she can replicate something similar.
They had a 54-minuter against KC in week 1. They had a 50-minuter against Na'Vi. And now, if they can live for 2.5 more minutes, or if they can fight back for 2.5 more minutes, we'll have another over 50-minute game involving...
Oh my god, the ad's gonna run through. No!
They have resilience, they have stickiness.
Oh my god, I'm sorry. If you get ad swap, stream. Sorry, if you get ad swap stream, I didn't realize we're 15 minutes in.
The double inhibs once again.
Swap. I tried to turn them off. I don't know if I got it in time.
Those inhibs.
Oh, okay. I mean, everyone's full build. Gold is just fucking useless almost soon.
Doesn't have the temerity to do such a thing.
So, this is a much better sequence. He's in bot ready to TP rather than in mid ready to run bot.
Flank here, potentially.
Flashy dodging away.
Skewmon.
They spot Skewmon. He tries to dash away. More Vitality.
Nice Bard ult to counter it though. Oh, good flash. Nice Aurora ult too. Oh my god, Lissandra! Is it enough though? Stopwatch? He didn't stopwatch. Kansama's fucking frying. Oh, nice EQ though. Triple kill. Triple kill. Quadra kill. Oh, the Lissandra angle was sexy there though. That was a sexy Lissandra angle.
Already got the wave. Medic, I do not think they can end this game.
I do not think
this game will keep
Really?
on going. Look where they're waving. They're gonna try to push with this one, but maybe Caps can hold it. He doesn't have the spirit rush, but it's the flashy going for.
Oh, the late game meeps. Bar damage late game with the meeps. It's crazy damage. Can they end this? Caps is 70 seconds respawn.
Vitality in 52 minutes have fought back against G.
Wow, it's over. It's actually over. Oh my god, the game was so butchered by Vitality.
Vitality unrelenting.
It was so butchered. Like that one fight where Hansama got a quadra kill. The game was so cooked.
Up in the series.
Wow. Oh, I love the Vitality, the Vitality champs, and their team fights were really nice. We got to watch the replay. After this interview, we got to watch the replay.
Yes!
Because this fight has so many amazing layers. Like, there are so many layers this fight. It's delicious. Alright, sorry, I'm skipping forward. So, the fight starts off. Scumon's trying to flank. Okay? But he gets spotted by the blue orb, but he doesn't check.
Scumon's spotted. Going for a Sven flank.
So instantly Naknako says, look, let's chunk this guy. He W's, sees Scumond. His team's a little bit slower, but it's okay. EQ misses, and now something beautiful is about to happen. What Scumond's gonna do right now is he's gonna say to his team, guys, we need to turn. He's gonna R flash, he's gonna R and flash in his R to make sure that the knock-up hits before Naknako can react with Zhonya's, okay? And what he wants to happen is Caps comes in from the side, chain CC, kill the aura instantly, yeah? Here it comes, ready? R flash, you see that? Boom, instant. It's impossible to react to that. It's like a Malphite ult. So it lands, and he wants chain CC. Fleshy's reaction is quick. He instantly Bardolds them. He sees the charm, instantly Bardolds before it hits. So that's the first layer. Watch it in real time. The Bardolds react timing was crazy. Because he just gets the Ari combo. He just gets the Ari combo. Just. Anyway. Oh, he actually got his Zhonya's off. Did he get his Zhonya's off before the charm?
Charm, they spot Scumond. He tries to dash away. Will Vitality go first?
Oh, he does just get his Zhonya's off before the charm. Actually, it's the Zhonya's that saves him. Jesus. Okay, I thought Fleshy clutched it. Alright, nice Zhonya's. Anyway, two things are gonna happen now. One, Lissandra's TPing in, and two, Rumble's TPing in. So, Rumble TP is on the left. Rumble's here. Lissandra TP, I'm pretty sure, is on top of everyone. I think she's like TPing on a Jarvan flag or something right here. So we look at two sections first. First we look at the Lissandra section. Lissandra lands here. Look at this. Flash W instantly. Self ult and Q. That's how much she did. It's kind of hard for G2 to see that that's coming, because she's kind of TPing on the flag, and there's so much clutter on the screen. Like, can you see the TP on this flag?
He tries to dash away. Will Vitality go further? Sees the distance immediately onto Naknako. Temper Fate to try and
it's so much clutter, and there's so much going on. If you pay attention to it now, you see it, but now she lands, now she's in, you know? It's so like, wow, that's insanely quick. And she's QRing as well. He greeted his whole combo. He got it all off. Jarvan gets a big knock-up, and instantly, like, Karzi and Naknako's eyes just turn to the right.
No, we're I'll watch it again later. You getting mad distracted. Okay, inspiring interview. Let's go. Got a lot of good content tonight. Give me powered.
After victory against Dignitas 2-1. Inspired. I don't think many people were expecting that game one, especially from Dignitas, to win so cleanly. So I wanted to get your thoughts on what happened in game one.
I think the game was a bit hard after I made the early misplay, and I was just thinking, we were just thinking like how to approach that game, and we're thinking that maybe we need to do something early game to try to isolate the Zinzao Nocturne matchup in order to get any lead in the game. But looking back at it, maybe we don't have to, because I feel like if the game is gonna go for normal standard 2 full clears, Orianna Zinzao, if they get the second crab spawn, the game could be a bit hard, because we would not be able to start the first dragon, and then playing Nocturne against Zin if nothing's happening and Zin can get level 6 first could be a bit dangerous, but so yeah, I decided to take an early fight or like early invade, and then I think my adaptation was a bit wrong, and I felt behind. I think it was kind of hard to play because bot lane couldn't really play the map as well, and then our bot lane didn't really find any angle to like put us back into the game. That was like they were the only hope for us, like carry me insane after we made this play, and I think the Nara Lulu just didn't really find any good angle, so we are just waiting for dragons, and I think the Xin is way stronger in the even fights than the Nocturne is, especially after I fall a little bit behind. So it was a hard game to win, and yeah, I think maybe I overcomplicated the things a bit in game one. I think if we took it maybe a bit slower and more standard way, I think we would have won, but it is what it is.
Alright, it was a little surprising leaving open the Ori. I know, like, after you explained what happened in the early game, kind of makes sense how Xin got his lead and the game kind of snowballed from there, but it was... I feel like Ori is almost permaban in most regions.
I mean, Orianna is a really strong champ if nothing happens, because she's just slowly winning the lane, and I think Nocturne Azir is probably a good answer for her. Like, I mean, obviously everyone knows how Orianna was a mobile champ that is strong in lane, so if she makes mistakes and dies somewhere, and she falls behind, she's a bit useless, especially against Azir and Nocturne, so yeah, I think after we made mistake, it was kind of hard to find an angle where we could have punished him, and because of that, yeah, it was just pulling us slowly, and then they got the first dragon, which was already a bit not optimal, and the game became like pretty favorable for them because they were stronger in 5v5, and all they had to do was just not inside lane, and they didn't do much. And I think even going into team fights, I think they made a little bit of positioning mistakes, but I think Azir was kept shuffling forward, trying to assassinate one target, when I felt like if we just took it a bit slow and try and just like Nocturne into Lulu and just start sticking on the front, I felt like maybe we could have won the team fights, but we had a bit wrong approach. Yeah.
Speaking of having like different approaches or having the wrong approach, I talked to your coach Rainover, and he mentioned how one of the things that he's working on is getting all the players on the same page. He feels like you guys aren't on the same page yet, and once you do, you're going to become a really strong team. We also hear from voice comms all the time how they're specifically like trying to get the team on the same page, whether it's like telling them to do this, or it's like this is how we're going to play it, or wait. I know they had like a meme on the LPS TikTok where it's just you saying wait a bunch of different situations. I think there are a lot of narratives surrounding you. I don't have to go into all of them, but one of the things is like you are under a lot of pressure because you're sort of the leader of this team, and you don't have like a Blippo-esque person who can also kind of relay information to their team. It's like a lot of pressure on you to help Isles get back up to speed, or help, you know, Saint, who's pretty much also a rookie. And I wanted to get your insight, because we've heard from outside of like hypothesizing, but do you feel that pressure?
Yeah, I mean, definitely there is some pressure on me. I can kind of feel it, but yeah, I mean, we're not the same player.
Pressure, okay.
I know really well how to win games in NA because I know that players here, doesn't matter if my teammates or enemy players, like if they get ahead, there is still a possibility that they throw their lead, and I feel like junglers are like, if I get the lead in the game, even though my team is behind, it feels easier to win than if we get a slight lead somewhere but I fall behind. I kinda think it's not the case in Asian leagues. You can kinda see that the jungler is really always happy to sacrifice like something in the jungle for lane to get the lead, which I think is obviously correct. I think the jungle doesn't really matter nowadays. Like, you will always catch up in levels and stuff like that. The only thing you lose is the smite timers. Like, you fall behind in the timing where you upgrade your smite for the first one and second, which always gives a window to a jungler to actually get some sort of a lead on the map, which is mostly invade a camp. The worst part happens if there is a Drake spawning and one of the junglers is able to use that lead, that he has a stronger smite than the other, because then Drake is kind of hard to contest. But it feels like even if Hanmi will be spot in the game because enemies decided to put someone behind, there's still high chance that they throw. Yeah, I played in an A already for 5 years, and
5 years, wow.
We were a team that was like really consistent at playing and never made a mistake and through the game. And it's way harder to play, to like win when you are stronger in lane and your jungler is weaker. It's really hard to play that way because you really need to be like clear with your intentions, while when there is a strong jungler running around the map, and your laners are losing. It's like more an enemy to not fight that jungler and just try to snowball the lead through the laning phases.
Loyalty.
Yeah, and I just noticed for myself it's easier to play the game when I'm the one that is strong and can make plays rather than I'm the one that is more supporting the plays that my team is making. And I think that puts also as well a lot of pressure on me because I know if I play that way, I need to be able to actually deliver and make good plans for the team and good situations in the game. But I think that style is maybe not that OP right now. There are a lot of drafts where you shouldn't be doing that. And yeah, I think maybe we are not the best at like mixing the styles. Like sometimes it feels like my teammates are on the carry champions. Like let's say we are playing Vice today in game 2. I feel like Saint should be a bit better at calling what the game plan should be or like how he wants to get vision and lead over the Anivia so that he can impact the game more. But he doesn't really say it. And then I will obviously just stick to my game, which is make sure that I'm in a good tempo, in a good situation, and in the good position for the dragon rather than support him because yeah, I just know it's gonna work better for me. But I know that in that part of the game, for example, should be thinking more of a mid matchup, like where Anivia might die, like where does she actually need to walk up in order to get the wave? What does he want to do? Like, what is he gonna do if we help him and then Anivia is not gonna contest him and he's gonna get prio over the wave, which will also cause him to recall faster than Anivia, so he'll have tempo and he will be able to make a play somewhere, which basically means then that Rice is the one driving the game. I think we are not really the best at the game, and I think that's why we are working on it, because playing champs like Rice, especially he needs to be the main character in the game, in the main voice, which is kind of hard to do. Like, you really need to be smart about everything that is going around you and how you are using your teammates in order to do that. And yeah, I think that's the thing we are trying to work on to get on the same page.
Yeah, it reminds me quite a bit of FlyQuest of old, where Busio wasn't entirely sure where he needed to be. Masu and Busio didn't know how to push their lanes. That was one thing that you kept talking about in the first split, is like, yeah, they'll get better, but as of right now, they just don't know when they need to lock up, when they need help, when like they don't know how to drive the game. And it seems like it's you're starting that whole process all over again with this team, since, you know, like you're saying, for example, Saint, he's very fresh, even though he played a year already on Lion. Like he didn't really have much development that year.
Get paid and get out.
That's a little awkward. Bored. Okay, here we go.
Laws or whatever works at the time.
Recently, I came across this video by Chilling Scares, in which he covered the FBI's 10 most wanted list. And it got me thinking, who holds that same notorious status here in Japan?
An enemy has been slain.
Whenever you go out walking in Kobe, or any other city, you'll inevitably come across these posters, plastered on the side of kobans, or on bulletin boards, detailing the most wanted suspects designated by the National Police Agency. At present, there are 12 of them. And since their stories are being covered by Western media outlets, and
Look, I didn't really have a choice there.
these men remain virtually unmoved.
Oh yeah, I need to get arm pants.
Today, I want to go over the 4 most wanted suspects featured on these posters. Those with the highest bounties and the darkest stories. Because Japan is, even a country with a low crime, has its share of monsters. Regardless of any potential TikTok bans, the fact is that anyone can visit any data broker's website right now and purchase their users' personal information for just a few dollars, completely legally. Unfortunately, our info...
Wealth is my kind of burden.
Fugitive number 1.
Fucking hell.
Yoroshi. Bounty, 3 million yen. In 1998, a brutal incident occurred in a residential area of Gunma, where 3 members of the same family were slaughtered in their own home. The perpetrator remains at large to this day. Gunma Prefectural Police continue their relentless pursuit of the suspect, Kogore Yoroshi, and are calling for new information from the public. At the time, 28-year-old Kogore worked as a delivery driver for a transport company. His duties included making bi-weekly deliveries to a drugstore, one staffed by an 18-year-old woman with the surname Ishii. Kogore wasn't very good at social interactions, but after encountering Ishii multiple times, he developed a one-sided crush on her. One day, Kogure was invited by a co-worker to go bowling, and Ishii happened to be there. Kogure was strangely talkative that night, unlike his usual self. When Ishii mentioned that she liked driving, Kogure eagerly responded, "Wow, what a coincidence. I love cars too." Despite his alleged love for cars, Kogure only drove a regular, unmodified vehicle. But soon after that interaction, he proudly announced that he had purchased a brand new sports car, a Nissan Silvia. Ishii found his behavior unsettling, as Kogure insisted that he had bought the car just for her. Eventually, he mustered up the courage to ask her on a date, and although she was hesitant due to their work connection, Ishii agreed to meet with him, just once.
Yeah, sports car.
However, for Ishii, the experience was a chilling one. When we went home from dinner, she later explained, he deliberately took me on a long detour and drove in the opposite direction of my home. It was extremely scary. After that evening, Ishii turned down Kogure's repeated invitations for a second date. But the delivery driver had become obsessed with her. Refusing to take no for an answer, he memorized her address and began stalking her home. He would randomly call her at work and at home, and just breathe down the line, and even left notes on her car's windshield while waiting outside her workplace. But in time, it seemed the silent treatment actually worked. Kogure eventually quit his job and stopped showing up at the drugstore altogether. Ishii, of course, felt relieved, believing she was finally rid of her stalker. On January 14, 1998, Ishii returned to her family home in Takasaki City, formerly Gunma Town. Upon stepping foot inside, she began to make her way upstairs. As she did, Kogure leapt out from behind the door, grabbed Ishii from behind, forced her into a room near the entrance, and held her down on the floor. "I really like you," he confessed, his breath warm and stale, his clothes stained red. And yet, in spite of the stains, Ishii quickly noticed that Kogure had no noticeable injuries on his body. That realization made her heart sink, and her thoughts turned to her parents and grandmother, whom she lived with. She called out to them, but received no response. Kogure restrained Ishii for nearly 3 hours while they exchanged words. Afterwards, Kogure walked out the front door and fled the scene. Ishii then ran up to the second floor of the now silent house, where she noticed the hallway was covered in blood, so much so that there wasn't a clear patch to stand on. She later discovered the bodies of her parents and grandmother hidden in separate closets. Kogure had killed them using a knife or similar bladed weapon. Kogure used his newly purchased white Nissan Silvia with the license plate Gunma 33 MO867 to escape. He was last seen on the Tosui Bridge, heading towards Saitama. Gunma Prefectural Police immediately set up an investigation headquarters, issuing a nationwide wanted notice for Kogure and tracking his whereabouts. However, his trail has since gone cold, and his vehicle remains missing. Over the years, numerous investigators have been assigned to the case, and dedicated officers continue to work on solving it today. The walls of the investigation HQ are lined with case files, a testament to the firm resolve to bring this case to a resolution. It's now been 27 years since the incident. Typically, as a case gets colder, tracking fugitives becomes more challenging due to reduced investigative efforts and declining public interest. But though the prospect of finding a suspect after such a long time seems slim, recently, many Japanese criminals have been brought to justice after spending decades on the run. Most famously, Kirishima Satoshi, who, in 2024, was finally identified after 50 years of evading capture. In that case, however, Kirishima voluntarily gave himself up on his deathbed, as he wanted to die under his real name, rather than an assumed identity. Still, this resulted in the so-called Kirishima effect, which saw a number of fugitives arrested in quick succession thereafter. Unfortunately, Kogure was not amongst those apprehended. Japan formerly had a statute of limitations for murder, one which was abolished in 2010. As such, Kogure's face will remain on the nation's most wanted posters until he's finally brought to justice or proven to have passed away. A reward of up to 3 million yen, around 20,000 USD, is being offered to anyone with information that leads to his arrest. Kogure Hiroshi is described as being
That looks right
170
enough.
centimeters tall, with a long face, and at the time, a slender build. His habits include smelling his hands and biting his nails. If still alive, he'd be 55 years old today. If captured, he'll be ordered to pay Ishii over 150 million yen in compensation for the mental anguish he endured. Though I think that would be the least of Kogure's worries, because, given the heinous nature of his crime, if found guilty, he'd almost certainly be given the death penalty.
Gotcha.
Fugitive number 2, Hatta Yoichi. Bounty, 8 million. If you ever needed proof that appearances can be deceiving.
Okay, so my buttons kind of fuck up, and then I get hit.
And the fugitive with the largest bounty to his name. Despite looking far
one right here
than the hardened criminals that sit alongside him in these posters, Hatta actually has an extensive criminal background. And just like Kyomin Suk, whom I covered in a recent upload, fits the profile of a dark triad personality type, possessing traits associated with pathological narcissism, psychopathy, and Machiavellianism. Not only did the 28-year-old Hatta spend his adulthood exploiting the welfare system and scamming strangers on the street, but he had developed a habit of causing disturbances in restaurants and at train stations to relieve his stress. Worse yet, in early 2022, he was handed a suspended prison sentence for the illegal confinement of a woman he met in a dating group. But the judge would have been wise not to let him off so easy, for just a few short months later, Hatta chose to do something heinous enough to land himself a place on this poster. On the evening of June 29, 2022, two 19-year-old university students, known only as A and B, were shopping for second-hand clothes in Beppu City, Oita Prefecture, riding from shop to shop on their motorbikes. After finishing up their last bit of shopping at a department store, the pair hopped onto their bikes, which were parked in the lot outside. As they prepared to set off, they noticed a young man walking along the nearby path, playing music extremely loudly on his phone. A massive cultural faux pas in Japan. That man was Hatta Yoichi. A stared at Hatta, confused and honestly a little angry that this stranger was being so disrespectful to the local residents. This made Hatta visibly angry. He pointed directly at student A and shouted, "What the hell are you looking at?" Hatta then proceeded to reprimand him for walking his motorbike out of the lot through the wrong exit. Not wanting any trouble, A apologized for staring, bowed his head respectfully, and rode off alongside B. The two students made their way down the prefectural road when they came to a red light, approximately 370 meters from the parking lot. They waited for the light to turn green, and as they did, they discussed the angry exchange that had occurred just 3 minutes prior. And as they sat at that red light, they heard the roar of an engine approaching from behind them. Little did they realize that Hatta had been following in his white Toyota. The last thing the two students noticed were his bright headlights bearing down on them. Hatta smashed his car into A and B at 100.
So we team fight, baby.
Sending their bikes flying. A died on
I wasn't thinking about the cooldowns though.
Who was grievously injured.
You get hit by shit. Space wall.
After striking
Wait my time.
Hatta lost control of his car.
Position while space wall.
Into a utility pole. He didn't report the accident. Confused and honestly a little angry that this stranger was being so disrespectful to the local. He didn't report the accident. Approaching from behind him. Little did they realize that Hatta had been following them in his white minivan. The last thing the two students noticed were his bright headlights bearing down on them. Hatta smashed his car into A and B at 100 kilometers an hour, sending their bikes flying. A died on impact.
Yeah.
B, who was grievously injured, thankfully survived. After striking his two victims, Hatta lost control of his car and crashed into a utility pole. He didn't report the accident, nor did he provide any medical assistance to A or B. Instead, he left his wallet, smartphone, and shoes inside the car and ran away from the scene barefoot eventually disappearing at a yacht harbor about 2 kilometers away. His shirt was found on the concrete floor beside the seafront. The Huffer has never been seen or heard from since. In September 2023, the National Police Agency designated Hatta as one of Japan's most wanted men, stating that he was being sought for a road traffic violation. A public reward of 3 million yen was offered to anyone who could help bring him to justice. Ace family also
I'm all on flash, you gotta be careful.
to incentivize those with information to come forward. As a result, hundreds of self-professed Hata Yuichi hunters have started looking for him, hoping to claim that bounty for themselves, and at least 9,000 tips from all over the country have been reported to the authorities. There was buzz on social media when security footage came to light, supposedly showing Hata burglarizing a Nagoya city bar in late October 2024. Analysts noted that the man's facial structure, eye shape, jawline, and finger proportions all match with those of the fugitive. However, this individual was later arrested, and this was confirmed to be a case of mistaken identity. As it stands, the real Hata Yuichi's whereabouts remains unknown. Since Hata was last seen heading towards the harbor, and his shirt was found at the water's edge, some suspect that he entered the sea and drowned. But experts disagree. In their minds, Hata left his shirt behind for a very different reason. You see, although the center of Beppu City has its fair share of CCTV cameras, the area surrounding the harbor is notorious for being a dark spot. One theory, presented by fellow YouTuber Page Analysis, is that Hata removed his shirt to make himself less identifiable, and then played the part of a shirtless jogger, making his way along the cameraless harbor. He then ran north along the seafront towards his home, which was conveniently situated on the coastline. Though undoubtedly a long distance to jog, Hata was in good shape and physically very fit. He obsessively worked on his physique and once cycled 10 hours straight from Chiba to Atami. With that in mind, he may have also been able to swim some of the distance to further avoid detection. At his home, he'd have been able to change his clothes, gather some money, and make his way out of the city by train. There was little chance of him being caught during his escape plan, as believe it or not, it took the authorities 2 whole days to even visit Hata's home after the incident. And that's despite the fact that they could have easily figured out who the car belonged to, just by looking at the ID in the wallet he had left behind. If you think that's grossly incompetent, then get a load of this document. Journalists had pressured them to reveal their initial investigation records, and this is what they showed them. Given that literally everything is redacted, the Oita Prefectural Police clearly are aware that they handled the case extremely poorly, which gives credence to the theory that Hata was able to escape. As to where he would have fled to, well, given that he had a 2-day head start, he could literally be anywhere in the country. Japan prioritizes privacy over surveillance, especially outside of the major cities, so following his trail wouldn't have been an easy task, even for a competent police service. As to why he still hasn't been found, these days, blending in is especially easy in Japan. For example, it's completely normal to see people walking down the street with face masks. The possibility that Hata has altered his appearance in other ways, such as having more plastic surgery, then the odds of someone recognizing him on the street were slim. Given his propensity to experiment with makeup, there's also a chance he's disguising himself as a human. As for money, Hata certainly has no qualms about stealing, something that's extremely easy to do in a high-trust society like Japan. In a video he uploaded to his social media page shortly before going on the run, Hata even explained his life plan, which didn't involve work, but rather theft.
私にとってね、まあ人生のプラン、そんなものはありませんね。はい。ないですね。生活保護っていうシステムがあるんですよ。となると、やっぱ万引きとかしたりして食べていけば。
Chat behind him.
あとは置き引きとかっていう。トイレに行くときに人が荷物を置いてきますよね。それをバレないようにいただくという。するとタダで物が手に入るんですね。
In terms of accommodation, it's entirely possible that someone's housing Hata, or that he's hiding in one of the country's innumerable abandoned buildings. Going further than that, it's also possible that he's in the mountains somewhere. Hata was an avid outdoorsman who spent plenty of time camping. He not only had the will to survive, but also the stamina and knowledge to do so in the surrounding mountains if need be. In fact, the only thing Hata loved more than the woods was himself. Even when behind bars, other prisoners noted that he spent hours staring at himself in the mirror, fixing his hair and examining his skin, and his ex-girlfriend even confirmed that he had rigorous beauty routines. I personally can't see such a self-obsessed person intentionally ending it all, and strongly suspect that he is still out there somewhere. The mother of the deceased student, A, later told the media, "With the help of many people, our family is trying to get back on our feet and move forward one step at a time. We're worried about the fact that the charges have not been changed and that the statute of limitations is fast approaching." Indeed, Hata is still not listed as being wanted for anything more serious than a road traffic violation, leaving many people wondering why. The statute of limitations for a road traffic violation is 7 years. If his charges aren't changed, then Hata will be able to eventually come out of hiding and face no repercussions for his actions. Hata's own grandfather has since told reporters, "When the statute of limitations expires, I'll welcome him back warmly." I'd like to say that Hata's current traffic violation charge is some sort of police tactic, a way for them to stop him from doing something drastic before they catch him. But in reality, it's simply because, in their own words, they can't be sure that Hata intended to kill anyone when he plowed into his victims. A's father takes umbrage with that, arguing that this is a clear case of murder in which Hata used his vehicle as a deadly weapon. Almost everyone but the Oita Prefectural Police agree. As if to confirm that the young killer knew exactly what he was doing, while in prison awaiting trial for his illegal confinement charge, Hata was overheard speaking with a member of the Japanese criminal underworld. Hata reportedly asked the gangster how best to deal with an argument, and the gangster replied, "If you want to kill him, it's best to just drive into them with your car. That way, it'll be seen as an accident, and you'll only be charged with a traffic violation." It seems Hata was acting on his advice. Victor May's family have rigorously campaigned to have Hata's charges upgraded to murder, but as of right now, the Oita Prefectural Police have refused to make that amendment. In the minds of some, that's because they want to wait out the current statute of limitations. That way, they can remove Hata's face, and simultaneously, their name, from the national wanted posters. After all, this notice being plastered across every city is a constant reminder of Oita PD's embarrassing failures. Could they be reluctant to upgrade Hata's charge in the hopes that this case quietly fades from people's memories, taking with it the reputational damage they've suffered? If their lack of remorse for their repeated mistakes and their guarded responses during interviews are anything to go by, I personally wouldn't put such a tactic past them.
初動捜査のミスです。その点はちょっとコメントを控えさせていただきます。どうして控えるんですか。私が答えるちょっと立場にないということで。
To combat that, a group called the Beppu Wish Foundation has been established with the goal of raising awareness about Hata Yuichi's actions and the Oita police's failings. I urge you to follow them on social media and help make sure that this case doesn't fade away. Victor May's dream was to one day visit all 47 prefectures in Japan with his best friend. At the time of his death, The pair had managed to see 20 of them. To honor A's memory, his friend has since visited the remaining 27 prefectures. He bought souvenirs in each of them and gifted them to A's family. Along the way, he continuously sent line messages to A's number, updating him about their journey. Those messages will forever remain unread. Fugitive number 3, Metate Shinichi. Bounty, 6 million yen. Despite having been raised in a close-knit family environment and having an ordinary childhood, our next subject, Metate Shinichi, just seemed destined for debauchery. A bookworm with a genius-level IQ of 145, Metate was also a born psychopath, whose hobbies not only included leading his school's broadcasting club, but also indulging in animal torture. Indeed, he spent much of his free time throwing cats into oncoming traffic, or chopping them into pieces with a sharp knife while they were still alive. It was during high school that Metate decided he knew what he wanted to do with his life. Perhaps figuring that honest work was for chumps, he stopped attending his classes and ran away from home in order to pursue a life of crime. After falling in with a group of other delinquents and runaways, Metate formed his own crew, in which he dubbed the Eifuku Black Emperors, and later used its members to revive the ailing, ultra-nationalist Kanto Rengo Bosuzoku, a once fearsome motorcycle gang. Under his leadership, the Rengo became crueler and more feared than ever, extorting countless people across Tokyo and pulling out the teeth and fingernails of their imprisoned rivals just for kicks. Previous generations of the Kanto Rengo didn't target women and children, but when it came to blackmail, kidnap, and all forms of assault, Metate didn't discriminate. Given that he regularly beat his opponents to the brink of death, Metate Shinichi earned himself a nickname, the Prince of Cruelty. Living up to his title, Metate enjoyed a royal lifestyle, spending his free time at a luxury apartment, which he shared with his German trophy wife and daughter. In March 2008, a member of the Kanto Rengo, Kanemura Takehiro, was savagely beaten to death in Nishi Shinjuku. Prior to the incident, Kanemura had been having trouble with 2 Kansai-based gangsters called the Kimura brothers. Angered that one of his own had been slain, Metate vowed revenge against both Kojiro and Taichiro Kimura, and his opportunity seemingly came on Sunday, September 2nd, 2012. In the early hours, word reached Metate that one of the Kimura brothers was in Studio Flower, a club in the infamous nightlife district of Roppongi. At precisely 3:43 AM, Metate and 11 of his henchmen made their way to the venue. After donning their balaclavas, the group entered the club, metal baseball bats in hand. They found their target sitting in the VIP area and savagely beat him to death in front of his friends. However, this turned out to be a case of mistaken identity. The victim was 31-year-old Ryosuke Fujimoto, a man with no links to organized crime and no connection to the Kimura brothers. Following the incident, 18 members of the Kanto Rengo were rounded up and arrested in connection with the slaying. Metate, however, was able to evade the law thanks to the help of one of his mistresses, a cabaret hostess known only as M-chan. M-chan was able to organize hideouts for Metate in Iwaki City, Shinjuku, and Hachioji. You see, Metate is said to possess a serpent-like charisma, which he uses to get others, particularly women, to do his bidding. As stated by one of his former associates, "There's something I've always noticed when I look at the women Metate has dated up until now. After about a year of dating, they develop the same reptilian, emotionless, dry look in their eyes as Metate." Thanks both to the help of M-chan and a sizable cash injection from his fellow gang members, the cruel prince was able to ditch his family and escape justice. To this day, almost 13 years on, he's yet to be apprehended. There's strong evidence that he was able to make his way to the Philippines 1 week after going on the run, and it's believed he went into hiding on a remote island there, sheltered by some of his criminal associates. According to Shibata Daisuke, a former top executive of the Kanto Rengo. Quote, "Metate is a man with a quick and sharp mind. He is well prepared and ready for everything he does. Not only is he intelligent, but even when he does violent acts, he's merciless and thorough. He also has a lot of money. If he's in the Philippines now, he'll have enough to last a lifetime." That being said, proof exists that Metate has made at least one secret trip back to Japan, having entered the country via a Thai sea route in 2013. He made this trip, ostensibly, to collect some hidden savings. According to people who met Metate Shinichi during that trip, he had long hair and a beard, and looked like a completely different person. It's strongly suspected that he's had plastic surgery to alter his face too. In 2024, detectives investigated a condo in Manila Bay where they believe Metate had been living under a false name, but found it to be abandoned. It's likely he chose that area due to the high density of Japanese restaurants, Japanese expats, and casinos, but ditched it when he realized his cover had been blown. Though many think it would be foolish for Metate to return to his home country, those who've been in contact with him have said that he finds life in Southeast Asia a drag. And according to officials, it's entirely possible that Metate is already back in Japan and in hiding. He's likely to be in Tokyo, Shizuoka, Saitama, or Miyagi. As well as preferring life in Japan, others have speculated that he may have returned to seek revenge on the Komura brothers, who are currently incarcerated on unrelated charges, but who will soon be released. The Japanese National Police Agency is offering 3 million yen for information that leads to Metate's capture, an amount that'll be matched by a private entity personally interested in seeing him behind bars. Fugitive number 4. Obara Katsuyuki. Bounty, 3 million yen. This one's a real rabbit hole. I've saved it for last, because although it's the most interesting entry, it's also the hardest to follow, so you may want to lock in, so to speak. I'll try and streamline things as much as possible. With that said, it was June 28th, 2008, and 17-year-old Sato Kozue was spending time at home with her live-in partner in Kurihara City when she received a call from her best friend's boyfriend, a 28-year-old man named Obara Katsuyuki. "Hey," came his voice through the other end of the line. "I need to talk to you about getting back together with my ex." Sato then left the house at 10:20 p.m. Before stepping out, she jokingly told her partner, "My friend's boyfriend needs relationship advice. They must have had a fight. I might be killed. If I am, I'll call you, okay?" Sato was last seen at a 7-Eleven convenience store in Tome City, Miyagi Prefecture, captured on security camera footage at 10:43 p.m. For 17 minutes, she stood alone in the store's magazine section, reading a book. That was the last time Sato Kozue was seen alive. In the early hours of June 29th, Obara Katsuyuki was seen at a self-service gas station in Morioka City, Iwate Prefecture. He was alone and had a white cloth wrapped around his right hand. At 9:30 a.m., Obara visited his younger brother's house in Iwate Prefecture. His brother and sister-in-law noticed that his right hand was badly injured, and he struggled to use chopsticks during breakfast. 2 days later, at approximately 4:30 p.m. on July 1st, Sato Kozue's body was discovered in a stream along a mountainous road in Kauai village. A post-mortem autopsy determined that she had first been strangled and had then suffered a severe blow to the head after being dropped from the bridge over the water. Some 5 hours after Kozue's body was discovered, at 9:40 p.m., a fisherman was traveling alone along a prefectural road in the mountains of Tanohata village when he noticed a car crashed into a utility pole, with smoke billowing from the engine. Assuming the owner may need assistance, he got out of his car and approached the vehicle. Inside was Obara. The man asked how he had managed to crash on a straight road with good visibility, but Obara just babbled. "I fought with a woman and hit her. I'm finished. I have no choice but to die." The fisherman then drove Obara back to his parents' house. The next morning, July 2nd, Obara called a friend and said that he was going to jump off Onosu Cliffs in Tanohata village. He also sent an email to his girlfriend with a photo of the cliff, along with the message, "This is the end," as well as an email to his younger brother with the message, "Goodbye. Sorry for causing you so much trouble." His friend drove out to Onosu on his motorcycle and found Obara sitting at the end of the cliffs, talking on his cell phone. Believing that he was talking with law enforcement, and figuring that Obara wasn't the jumping type, his friend then bizarrely left. That was the last known sighting of Obara Katsuyuki. At around 11:30 AM on July 3rd, a town hall employee found Obara's wallet, sandals, car keys, and SIM card on the cliffs of Onosu. When the authorities came across Obara's car, which was still where he had left it after the crash, they found strands of Sato Kosue's hair on the back seat. Though no motive could be established, the police theorized that after luring Sato out to the kombini, Obara strangled her inside his vehicle and then dumped her body into the nearby river. But had he now really jumped into the ocean to avoid justice? The authorities searched the sea area up to 100 meters offshore, but found no trace of Obara, nor any physical proof that he had jumped. As a result, the police concluded that Obara had faked his demise and gone on the run. And on July 29th, Obara was put on the nationwide wanted list. Though traditionally captured on security camera footage, it was June 28th, 2008, and 17-year-old Sato Kosue was spending time at home with her live-in partner in Kurihara City when she received a call from her best friend's boyfriend, a 28-year-old man named Obara Katsuyuki. "Hey," came his voice through the other end of the line. "I need to talk to you about getting back together with my ex." Sato then left the house at 10:20 PM. Before stepping out, she jokingly told her partner, "My friend's boyfriend needs relationship advice. They must have had a fight. I might be killed. If I am, I'll call you, okay?" Sato was last seen at a 7-Eleven convenience store in Tome City, Miyagi Prefecture, captured on security camera footage at 10:43 PM. For 17 minutes, she stood alone in the store's magazine section, reading a book. That was the last time Sato Kozue was seen alive. In the early hours of June 29th, Obara Katsuyuki was seen at a self-service gas station in Morioka City, Iwate Prefecture. He was alone and had a white cloth wrapped around his right hand. At 9:30 AM, Obara visited his younger brother's house in Iwate Prefecture. His brother and sister-in-law noticed that his right hand was badly injured, and he struggled to use chopsticks during breakfast. 2 days later, at approximately 4:30 PM on July 1st, Sato Kosue's body was discovered in a stream along a mountainous road in Kauai village. A post-mortem autopsy determined that she had first been strangled and had then suffered a severe blow to the head after being dropped from the bridge over the water. Some 5 hours after Kosue's body was discovered, at 9:40 PM, a fisherman was traveling alone along a prefectural road in the mountains of Tanohata village when he noticed a car crashed into a utility pole with smoke billowing from the engine. Assuming the owner may need assistance, he got out of his car and approached the vehicle. Inside was Obara. The man asked how he had managed to crash on a straight road with good visibility, but Obara just babbled. "I fought with a woman and hit her. I'm finished. I have no choice but to die." The fisherman then drove Obara back to his parents' house. The next morning, July 2nd, Obara called a friend and said that he was going to jump off Onosu Cliffs in Tanohata village, partner in Kurihara City. It was June 28th, 2008, and 17-year-old Sato Kosue was spending time at home with her live-in partner in Kurihara City when she received a call from her best friend's boyfriend, a 28-year-old man named Obara Katsuyuki. "Hey," came his voice through the other end of the line. "I need to talk to you about getting back together with my ex." Sato then left the house at 10:20 PM. Before stepping out, she jokingly told her partner, "My friend's boyfriend needs relationship advice. They must have had a fight. I might be killed. If I am, I'll call you, okay?" Sato was last seen at a 7-Eleven convenience store in Tome City, Miyagi Prefecture, captured on security camera footage at 10:43 p.m. For 17 minutes, she stood alone in the store's magazine section, reading a book. That was the last time Sato Kozue was seen alive. In the early hours of June 29th, Obara Katsuyuki was seen at a self-service gas station in Morioka City, Iwate Prefecture. He was alone and had a white cloth wrapped around his right hand. At 9:30 a.m., Obara visited his younger brother's house in Iwate Prefecture. His brother and sister-in-law noticed that his right hand was badly injured, and he struggled to use chopsticks during breakfast. 2 days later, at approximately 4:30 p.m. on July 1st, Sato Kozue's body was discovered in a stream along a mountainous road in Kawai village. A post-mortem autopsy determined that she had first been strangled and had then suffered a severe blow to the head after being dropped from the bridge over the water. Some 5 hours after Kozue's body was discovered, at 9:40 p.m., a fisherman was traveling alone along a prefectural road in the mountains of Tanohata village when he noticed a car crashed into a utility pole with smoke billowing from the engine. Assuming the owner may need assistance, he got out of his car and approached the vehicle. Inside was Obara. The man asked how he had managed to crash on a straight road with good visibility, but Obara just babbled. "I fought with a woman and hit her. I'm finished. I have no choice but to die." The fisherman then drove Obara back to his parents' house. The next morning, July 2nd, Obara called a friend and said that he was going to jump off Onosu Cliffs in Tanohata village. He also sent an email to his girlfriend with a photo of the cliff, along with the message, "This is the end," as well as an email to his younger brother with the message, "Goodbye. Sorry for causing you so much trouble." His friend drove out to Onosu on his motorcycle and found Obara sitting at the end of the cliffs, talking on his cell phone. Believing that he was talking with law enforcement, and figuring that Obara wasn't the jumping type, his friend then bizarrely left. That was the last known sighting of Obara Katsuyuki. At around 11:30 a.m. on July 3rd, a town hall employee found Obara's wallet, sandals, car keys, and SIM card on the cliffs of Unosu. When the authorities came across Obara's car, which was still where he had left it after the crash, they found strands of Sato Kozue's hair on the back seat. Though no motive could be established, the police theorized that after luring Sato out to the kombini, Obara strangled her inside his vehicle and then dumped her body into the nearby river. But had he now really jumped into the ocean to avoid justice? The authorities searched the sea area up to 100 meters offshore, but found no trace of Obara, nor any physical proof that he had jumped. As a result, the police concluded that Obara had faked his demise and gone on the run. And on July 29th, Obara was put on the nationwide wanted list. Though traditionally, a bounty can only be placed on a suspect who's been on that list for 6 months, Obara's bounty was announced after just 3. But here's where things take a turn. After uncovering some new facts and inconsistencies in the case, former police officer and freelance journalist Akio Kuroki began conducting his own investigation. After taking his findings to the media, Kuroki stated his belief that Obara was being framed for a crime he hadn't committed, and that Sato Kozue was slain as part of a revenge killing and was the victim of mistaken identity. To explain, he revealed that Obara Katsuyuki's girlfriend, who was also Sato Kozue's best friend, just so happened to be called Sato Kozue. In other words, the two women had the exact same name. To avoid confusion from here on, I'll be referring to Obara's surviving girlfriend as Sato A and the murder victim as Sato B. In February 2007, roughly a year and a half before the incident, Obara and his junior colleague had first noticed Sato A and B in a purikura booth and decided to introduce themselves. Even though Sato A was only 16 at the time and Obara was 27, they began dating. That's a crime in and of itself in many countries. To say Obara wasn't an angel is putting things lightly. He could more accurately be described as a piece of trash. To prove my point, he had previously been married and had a child, but had separated from his wife after he physically struck her. and that violence would carry over to his relationship with Sato A. And as you're about to hear, he wasn't beyond putting her life in mortal peril. 3 months later, on May 1st, 2007, Obara had been introduced to a new job by his senior colleague, a man known only as Mr. Y. However, Obara found the job too difficult and quickly threw in the towel. To apologize, Obara and his younger brother went to Mr. Y's house, bringing with them a bottle of sake as a gift. After inviting them inside, Mr. Y suddenly turned cold and told Obara, "You've smeared mud on my face. Pay me 1.2 million yen as compensation for this inconvenience. If you can't pay, leave your finger behind." Mr. Y then threatened Obara by placing a katana in his mouth and forcing him to sign an IOU. Y then said, "Write down a guarantor, namely, someone who'll pay either with their money or blood should Obara fail to honor his debt." Obara asked his younger brother to be the guarantor, but he flatly refused, saying he didn't want anything to do with this. As such, he instead wrote down Sato A's name and cell phone number. According to the later testimony of Sato A, Obara came back trembling and bleeding from his pinky finger, and there was blood on his white jersey. He explained how Mr. Y had threatened him with a katana, but failed to mention how he had used her as his guarantor. Together, Sato A and Obara went to their local koban and filed a complaint against Mr. Y. Unable to pay off his debt, and fearing that the police wouldn't protect him, Obara went on the run for about a year. While in hiding, he happened to search his name and drove out to Onosu on his motorcycle, and found Obara sitting at the end of the "I have no choice but to die. This is the jumping type." His friend then bizarrely left. That was the last known sighting of Obara Katsuyuki. At around 11:30 AM on July 3rd, a town hall employee found Obara's wallet, sandals, car keys, and SIM card on the cliffs of Onosu. When the authorities came across Obara's car, which was still where he had left it after the crash, they found strands of Sato Kosue's hair on the back seat. Though no motive could be established, the police theorized that after luring Sato out to the kombini, Obara strangled her inside his vehicle and then dumped her body into the nearby river. But had he now really jumped into the ocean to avoid justice? The authorities searched the sea area up to 100 meters offshore, but found no trace of Obara, nor any physical proof that he had jumped. As a result, the police concluded that Obara had faked his demise and gone on the run, and on July 29th, Obara was put on the nationwide wanted list. Though traditionally, a bounty can only be placed on a suspect who's been on that list for 6 months, Obara's bounty was announced after just 3. But here's where things take a turn. After uncovering some new facts and inconsistencies in the case, former police officer and freelance journalist Akio Kuroki began conducting his own investigation. After taking his findings to the media, Kuroki stated his belief that Obara was being framed for a crime he hadn't committed, and that Sato Kosue was slain as part of a revenge killing and was the victim of mistaken identity. To explain, he revealed that Obara Katsuyuki's girlfriend, who was also Sato Kosue's best friend, just so happened to be called Sato Kosue. In other words, the two women had the exact same name. To avoid confusion from here on, I'll be referring to Obara's surviving girlfriend as Sato A and the murder victim as Sato B. In February 2007, roughly a year and a half before the incident, Obara and his junior colleague had first noticed Sato A and B in a Purikura booth and decided to introduce themselves. Even though Sato A was only 16 at the time and Obara was 27, they began dating. That's a crime in and of itself in many countries. To say Obara wasn't an angel is putting things lightly. He could more accurately be described as a piece of trash. To prove my point, he had previously been married and had a child, but had separated from his wife after he physically struck her, and that violence would carry over to his relationship with Sato A. And as you're about to hear, he wasn't beyond putting her life in mortal peril. 3 months later, on May 1st, 2007, Obara had been introduced to a new job by his senior colleague, a man known only as Mr. Y. However, Obara found the job too difficult and quickly threw in the towel. To apologize, Obara and his younger brother went to Mr. Y's house, bringing with them a bottle of sake as a gift. After inviting them inside, Mr. Y suddenly turned cold and told Obara, "You've smeared mud on my face. Pay me 1.2 million yen as compensation for this inconvenience. If you can't pay, leave your finger behind." Mr. Y then threatened Obara by placing a katana in his mouth and forcing him to sign an IOU. He needs to apologize. A man known only as Mr. Y. However, Obara found the job too difficult and quickly threw in the towel. To apologize, Obara and his younger brother went to Mr. Y's house, bringing with them a bottle of sake as a gift. After inviting them inside, Mr. Y suddenly turned cold and told Obara, "You've smeared mud on my face. Pay me 1.2 million yen as compensation for this inconvenience. If you can't pay, leave your finger behind." Mr. Y then threatened Obara by placing a katana in his mouth and forcing him to sign an IOU. Y then said, "Write down a guarantor. Namely, someone who will pay, either with their money or blood, should Obara fail to honor his debt." Obara asked his younger brother to be the guarantor, but he flatly refused, saying he didn't want anything to do with this. To be the guarantor, inviting them inside how Azure violence would carry over to his relationship with Sato A. And as you're about to hear, he wasn't beyond putting her life in mortal peril. 3 months later, on May 1st, 2007, Obara had been introduced to a new job by his senior colleague, a man known only as Mr. Y. However, Obara found the job too difficult and quickly threw in the towel. To apologize, Obara and his younger brother went to Mr. Y's house, bringing with them a bottle of sake as a gift. After inviting them inside, Mr. Y suddenly turned cold and told Obara, "You've smeared mud on my face. Pay me 1.2 million yen as compensation for this inconvenience. If you can't pay, leave your finger behind." Mr. Y then threatened Obara by placing a katana in his mouth and forcing him to sign an IOU. Y then said, "Write down a guarantor. Namely, someone who will pay, either with their money or blood, should Obara fail to honor his debt." Obara asked his younger brother to be the guarantor, but he flatly refused, saying he didn't want anything to do with this. As such, he instead wrote down Sato A's name and cell phone number. According to the later testimony of Sato A, Obara came back trembling and bleeding from his pinky finger, and there was blood on his white jersey. He explained how Mr. Y had threatened him with a katana, but failed to mention how he had used her as his guarantor. Together, Sato A and Obara went to their local koban and filed a complaint against Mr. Y. Unable to pay off his debt, and fearing that the police wouldn't protect him, Obara went on the run for about a year. While in hiding, he happened to search his name on the internet and discovered that Mr. Y was searching for him. Under the username, the Yakuza, Y was posting photos of Obara's face to online message boards and forums, offering a cash reward to anyone who knew where he was. Around that same time, Obara was told by a former co-worker, "If Y finds you, he'll kill you." As such, on June 28th, 2008, the same day Sato B went missing, Obara called Sato A and told her that he wanted to withdraw their complaint against Mr. Y. She asked why, but he wouldn't explain. By this point, Sato A had long been fed up with Obara's antics and angry outbursts, and so she decided to break up with him. Obara had almost no money and less than half a tank of gas in his car, and so was unable to drive to her home. Instead, he persistently contacted her by phone and email, saying, "I really want to withdraw that complaint, but we filed it together, so I can't do that unless you're with me." When Sato A refused to respond to Obara's calls, he contacted Sato B. With all this new information having been revealed to the public by the freelance journalist Kuroki, the police then stated their belief that Obara must have killed Sato B to clear his debt with Mr. Y. It seems that according to their deal, by slaying his guarantor, Obara's debt would have been erased, and since both his girlfriend and her best friend shared the exact same name, Mr. Y would have had no idea he he had substituted Sato B for Sato A. But here's where things take another turn. Obra clearly wasn't the nicest guy in the world.
True up. True up.